G'day, g'day.
Hello, hello.
Feeling a little bit out of practice after a couple of months of no live streams. I had, making sure I almost went live before I hit the countdown. But anyway, I'll find my groove as we get on. How's it going, Matt?
Going very well, Scotty. Yeah, got my cup of coffee and ready to talk and show a lot of toys. So
Likewise.
it's excellent.
Awesome, mate. Should be a good morning and a bit of a different time for us as well. Over the holidays, I caught up with Dino, who I can see in the chat, and got involved with filming a video for their channel, and it was like an early morning filming, and it was like both of us were a little bit like, oh gosh, like I've got to get the speaking to camera part of my brain going, and I feel a little bit this morning like I've got to get my live stream brain going, especially after not having done one in a couple of months. But we'll get there, mate. I'm looking forward to it. We've got some fun stuff to talk about today. So yeah, I think this is the third time we've done this, kicking off the year by just having a bit of a chat and recapping our top five, favorite pickups of the previous year, and with some honorable mentions, and then, basically going through our sort of top five items that we're going to be on the hunt for in this next coming year. So, fun stuff to talk about. Nice way to put a bow on 2024, which flew by, and I'm still in a bit of disbelief that we're in 2025.
It starts off slow, I feel, like every year, and then all of a sudden it hits mid-year, and boom, all of a sudden it's Christmas. And you're kind of thinking something like, well, what did I pick up through the year? And there was a lot.
Yeah, likewise. This one was a tricky one, but I'm excited to get into it, mate. I'm excited to see what are your top finds and talk a little bit about mine. Before we get into that, let's just say good day. We've got some people in the chat nice and early, which I appreciate, especially some Aussies where it's obviously early here. So first up, we've got Nate. G'day, Nate.
Hello, Nate.
We've got Dino, or maybe Dino and Sarah.
Dino. Maybe both, yeah.
And we've got Ollie in the UK.
G'day, Ollie.
Early one or late one for him, I should say.
Yeah.
And we've got Dustin. G'day, Dustin. Happy New Year, Dustin. Mate. Hope you're doing well, and Happy New Year to everybody in the chat. I'm sure. I feel like it's the 5th of Jan. We can still be saying that.
It's still okay. Maybe for the first week. I think we're all
right. Exactly. Awesome. And Dino, I don't know if that's a statement about my picture quality, but I appreciate that. I was just saying to Matt before we went live, since the last live stream, I've upgraded my internet, so hopefully no more of those pesky, tech issues, and hopefully it's, smooth sailing from here on out.
Yeah. He looks better in picture than he does in person now.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Matt, but StreamYard has a little touch-up feature in the settings, which I may be using a little bit of that. Nick, g'day, mate.
Nick.
Hope you're doing well.
All the way from the UK, wow.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's an unusual time zone, I suppose. For us, it's the morning. For the UK, it's like the very late evening. For the US, it's the afternoon. So maybe we'll get some of our friends from the US jump in and say g'day. And we've got Sizz Dog. Hey, buddy. Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well, mate.
Hope you enjoyed your holiday, mate. Caught some of those happy pics.
Exactly. All righty. Well, with that said, I'm sure we'll have more folks jump in as we progress throughout the morning, and we'll say good day to people as they pop in. But we've got a fair bit to cover. So maybe we rip straight in, Matt. What do you reckon? You ready to go?
Yeah, let's dive in and have some fun.
All righty. So just as far as like the format for this morning show or this evening show, if you guys are in the UK, we'll just first of all we'll run through our top 5 favorite pickups of last year, and this year was really tough for me. So I've got a lot of honorable mentions. I think I've got like 3 or 4 honorable mentions just because I got there's some things that I can't not share in this format. And then what we'll do is before we go into our wish list for 2025, Matt and I will both recap what our wish lists were for 2024, just so we can see how we went. And just for context, like, the wish list, when we talk about our top 5 wish list for the coming year, like the way Matt and I format it for this sort of show is like, these aren't grails. We don't just like stack the list with like the most high-end rare things that we want. We're trying to really look at like, what's our focus list? What are the main things we're chasing? What are the main things that we have like a reasonable chance of being able to pick off throughout the year to fill gaps in our collections? That's really how we approach the wish list. With that said, I've thrown in a grail pick for this coming year. So, just for fun, because it's fun to talk about this stuff, even though, that it might not, I might not have the highest shot of getting it, but who knows? So that's what we'll do. So So, but before we rip into that, let's just say g'day to Andrew. G'day, mate.
Andrew.
Top of the morning to
Too
you.
early. Get some breakfast, India.
Yeah, bit of breakfast TV for you, Andrew.
Yeah, well, the problem with Andrew is he doesn't like eating in. He'll need to go out. So he'll need to go out and get coffee and food. Sorry, Andrew.
Sorry, buddy. Nah, that's all good, mate. You go get your brekkie, Andrew.
Yeah, that's it, Andrew. It's all right. We'll still be here in half an hour or so.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going anywhere. Alrighty, Matt. Do you want to kick us off? And what do you want to do? Do you want to do honourable mentions and then the top 5, or do you want to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and before we get to 1 honourable mentions? What are you thinking?
Let's go start from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2 honourable mentions, then 1.
Alrighty, and we'll go back and forth. So, do you want to kick us off with your number 5, and we'll go back and forth throughout?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So, I've got to remember to. Oh, okay. Number 5. While Andrew's there, some people may have already seen some of these things as well. Where is it? Number 5. This came very late in the year. In fact, it's something I did not expect and was not even on like the horizon for me for 2024. But my mate has gone off and bought this for me for my birthday and for Christmas. So it's the Stratus Coach from Bravestar. Number 5.
Hang on, let me make you big real quick. Sorry about that. Hang on. I'm still getting back into the swing of it.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
There we go. That's a better look.
There we go. So that's the Stratus Coach. I know a few people have seen that. Not only did he buy, came in box.
With the box.
So with the box. So I've got this beautiful box with all the beautiful art on it, and so. Whenever something is given to you at this magnitude, like it's got to make some kind of list, right?
Oh, absolutely. And so that, just to understand, that wasn't sealed, was it? Just complete in an open box? Okay, gotcha. So you didn't.
It was an open box. So it's got some cool features, like it's got a handle at the back here, and you can press that, and the wheels go up. I've left the other bit. There's a little horse that attaches there, mechanical horse, which is up there. I haven't got. I don't really want to get up and show people my pants. But yeah, that opens up and you can fit the Bravestar figures in there as well. So it's a very cool item, and it's going to go up there with my I've only got Bravestar and Tex-Mex. And so he'll go up there and display well with those. So that's my number 5, which is that's awesome. Strata Coach. It's beautiful. Thank you very much.
So maybe a little bit more Bravestar in your collection in 2025.
You'll have to wait and see.
Maybe. Alrighty. Before I do my number 5, let's just say g'day to Rolando. G'day, mate.
Rolando. Hello,
Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the holidays, mate, and you've had a happy new year. That's right. Nate here with an idea. Yeah, we were talking about breakfast TV, but this show is like a breakfast TV sort of format, and Nate's saying we should throw a few cartoons in there, cheese TV style.
Yeah, I remember
throw back to cheese TV. I love that. Or Agro's cartoon.
I remember cheese TV. That was all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so I'll go my number 5. My number 5 is one that, I mean, it was, look, my top 5 this year was tricky. I mean, I picked up a lot of really cool pieces in 2024, but for number 5, I had to just squeeze this into the top 5, and it's the Matchbox Max Effects Freddy. Brand new sealed. I mean, it's look, I'm not going to bang on about this in too much detail. Like, I made a video all about this and the history of it, but for me, part of it is just the fact that it's a cool piece of late 80s, Nightmare on Elm Street, which is just a bizarre franchise to, build a toy line around. Part of it's just an amazing display piece, but it's got a really cool story behind it. Like, researching about this introduced me to Mel Bernkran, a toy creator that Matt knows a lot about, was behind a lot of incredible properties, some that made it into production, many that didn't for a number of different reasons. And us vintage collectors are worse off for those toys not making it to production, because some incredible creative concepts that never made it. And Max Effects was short-lived. We were meant to get a bunch of different Universal Monsters variants. We were meant to get an alien xenomorph. Jason Voorhees. None of them made it to production. This beauty was canned due to some outrage in the late 80s, early 90s when it hit production. But still, we got one, and I'm pretty stoked to have it in the collection. So the Max Effect Freddy is my number 5.
Is it ever going to come out of the box, or no? You're happy just to leave it in there and admire it from within?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I bought it, I was planning to actually take it out of the box, but the way it's packaged, with the internal lining, you can't pull it out without destroying it. And you know me, Matt, I collect stuff like this loose. I would love to, put it together and display it loose, but I think in box it displays better. If I could take it out and put it back, if it had collector-friendly packaging, if that was a thing in the late 80s, I would. But unfortunately, I can't. So it is staying in the box.
Fair enough. That's good.
Yeah.
I've noticed something. So this year I've changed the structure. In previous years I have gone 5. I've gone in order of pickup, like through the months.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so yours aren't the least to the most. Gotcha.
Well, for this year I've gone just actual from a 5 to my number 1. Like
I'm with you.
From to favorite. So, but they're all vintage. I noticed. I went, oh my goodness! I've picked up. They're all vintage things, which is surprising.
Yeah. Dustin, yes, mate, there is. There's definitely some real Ghostbusters stuff I'm still on the hunt for, and I'm sure there is for Matt as well. I'm sure there's a few real Ghostbusters pieces that Matt's on the hunt for. It's funny, during the holidays, Matt and I caught up. Matt got an awesome book all about all of the real Ghostbusters merchandise that came out through the 80s and early 90s, toys included. And we had a good time going through that during the Christmas break. And there is some stuff I'm on the hunt for. So expect to see a little bit of real Ghostbusters in my wish list for 2025, definitely.
Mine too.
All right. Number 4 for you, Matt.
Oh, number 4. Okay, it's something small, but very cool. And well, this was actually on my 2024 wish list. So that's a bit of a spoiler alert. So I have picked this up quite early in the year, and it was the Tron. Beautiful. Like the vintage Tron from Tomy, the light cycle. So it didn't come with the cord because cords are quite hard to find. And so that just opens up, and well, just for I've got my little Tron figure there, and he can just sit in there. I don't know how he goes. I've actually never chucked him in there, but I think he just lays in there. I don't know. Like I know he fits in there. I don't want to try him in there because I'm going to break him. But anyway, I finally picked that up. This was sadly had to be an eBay purchase. Not all of these items are eBay purchases, but obviously Andrew gave me the number 5. But this one had to be a bit of an eBay purchase. You don't really see these in Australia at Collecticon. Yeah. However, like it's in really good nick. Like the wear on the tire isn't too bad there. Like we're talking 1981 or 82, so it's going pretty good. So I think. I just wanted to either get there's 2 back in the day, a yellow and an orange, an orangey red. So I just wanted to get one of them, and here it is. And now he sits up there proudly with Tron or Flynn or whatever he wants to do, and just hangs out with them. So I'm really happy that I found that one pretty early on in 2024, and that's my number 4.
So was that a purchase on Australian eBay, or did you have to get that from overseas?
That was US, yeah. So I'd been missing out on quite a few of those, and yellow seems to be the easier one to get. So I kept missing out on the yellow, and then this one came up at a really good price, and I just couldn't say no to it. So I was stoked to get that. It's beautiful. That's awesome. Like even the glass isn't. It's got the odd little. I mean, you probably can't pick that up, but it's pretty clear for. It's a 43-year-old toy or something. So it's in really good condition. Like even like the side mirrors there sometimes get cracked or broken, but I was really happy with that purchase.
Dino's asking if that completes the Tron line for you now, or if you've still got a few more.
No, so I've got all the figs. I mean, it was a very small line. I've got the 4 figs, and like even the and I've only got that cycle, so I've still got the red one to get, and even that little accessory on the back, that's a repro, but it's actually glows in the dark. So I got repro accessories, but like I don't intend to sell these anytime soon. So, and look, So I don't mind having a bit of a repro, and they're like, bloody hell, man, they're exact replicas almost, and they glow in the dark. So I'm happy. Yeah.
Next best thing. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. That's
all righty. Well, let's go. My number 4. My number 4 is another sealed item, which is unusual for me. This is definitely not a look. Maybe this is a little bit of a trend for the direction of my collecting. I don't know. Maybe I've just actually made that realization because this is not the last item in my top 5 that is sealed, which is really unusual. Normally, pretty much everything I pick up is loose. But my number 4 is an item similar to what you just said, Matt, that I picked up very early in 2024, maybe even the first week of 2024. I got this from Carl at Retro Cartel Collectibles, and it's the 1992 5th anniversary gold chromed Leonardo turtle. So this was, like I said, released in 1992 as like a 5th anniversary promotional piece for the vintage TMNT toy line. Something that you don't really see too often in Australia. Like Dean and I and Dan saw one at the last CollectorCon of last year, and Dean and I especially were like, man, like we need one of these in the collection. Like my vintage TMNT collection really is like 1988 to 1992. So this being like the 1992 5th anniversary turtle is like, a nice piece that kind of is like an end cap to my TMNT collection. Not that my TMNT collection's finished. There's still a bunch of figures I'm chasing, but just a nice sort of, a nice centerpiece for the vintage TMNT collection. And like, not only is it sealed, but the box is flawless. It's in perfect condition. In fact, Dean has got one as well. Carl from Retro Cartel Collectibles sorted one out for Dean. And Dean and I were even talking about maybe trying to get our hands on like an acrylic case to pop these in, just because they're in such nice condition. I've got no interest in grading it or anything else, but I just think, just a nice clear acrylic case that's made to measure would just protect it really nicely. And likewise with the Max Effects set, to be honest with you. But so just that's my number 4 pick. Pretty stoked to get that early in the year. And if I didn't get this in like the first week of January, this probably would have been on my wish list for 2024. But I actually got it before we did our stream at the very start of last year. So stoked to add the 5th anniversary Leo into my collection.
Is that that's vac metal, is it?
Yeah, it is. Like, and it's the vac metal's beautiful, and the detail in it is pretty awesome. Like, it's vac metal aside from the teeth, but even the little gaps between Leo's teeth are vac metaled. Everything except really the bandana. What's interesting about this, and I mentioned this previously in a video, is it's actually a 1988 Donatello sculpt, not a Leo, which I don't really know why. But you can tell by the feet and by the head sculpt predominantly that it's actually a Donnie sculpt. So pretty stoked to add that to the collection. That's my number 4.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right. My number 3 is another one that come along quite late in the year. But as you know, I am deep into the Sectors line.
Yep.
I think that's how you say it, Sectars. And late in the year, I had picked up the what's it called, the Trankiller, and there's Trankiller right there, and he's complete. And I mean, just look at that fuzz on him. But he was basically a hand puppet almost. So you'd stick your hand in the glove there, and each of your fingers would go off into a leg, and one would get. Trying to get this right. So that's a leg. That's a leg. And there's his mouth there. One finger would go into his mouth. I'm trying to get all the legs out of the way. And so that would control his mouth as well. So my hand's probably just a little bit too big to get in there. But he came, back in the 80s, he came with a character called Skulk. So Skulk came with him, but he didn't have any weapons. So I shouldn't have, when you came and you chucked him on there. Oh, there you go. He's on there. So he comes like that. So I was really happy to pick him up. Really good condition. I mean, this is from 84, so that is now 40 years old, and it's really been well looked after. Like the paint on it, like the eyes there. So it's just what a fun toy line. I'm so deep into Sectors at the moment, and I can't get enough of them. And it's funny. I think I've only got one figure left to get, and quite a few of these. I've got the other 3 big fellas, and of course the Hive. But yeah, I'm just you know what? You just got to love getting something small and cool like this into the collection like that. That's just a buzz. I love it.
Oh, definitely. And it is a really cool toy line. Like Dino's saying that he's definitely been eyeing the line lately. I have as well. Mr. Reynolds has been, influencing me. I haven't pulled the trigger yet on any, not in a while at least. I know you gifted me one, Matt, which was awesome. But yeah, I can see myself picking up a few of those figures. If I remember correctly, it's not the biggest line, is it?
No, I think it's 8. Like there's 8 figures, but the Argon gets repeated, so there's 9 figures. And there's 2 of these like mid-sized creatures with no wings, and then there's two bugs with wings.
Yeah,
and it's quite hard to find the bugs with wings. And I think some of them come with companion bugs as well, which are quite small and easy to come by. But once again, a couple of those have got very fragile wings. So, and recently, I mean, I'm not going to get it now, but Nacelle just released a couple of more figures, which fit right perfect into this line. And I picked up the Stellara figure, or my children gave it to me for Christmas. So it's up there displayed with these figures, and it just fits perfectly with this vintage line. It's amazing. But
it's just such a cool concept as well, like human insect, hybrids with spiders and all that sort of stuff. And you make the comment about like the figures coming out with little companion bugs.
Yeah.
When I think of an action figure coming with a little sidekick buddy creature, I think of like Playmates. Did that with like TMNT and Skeleton Warriors, but Sectors would do, and I think of Real Ghostbusters doing it. With the little companion ghost, but Sectors were doing it even earlier, I believe, because aren't Sectors like 84, 85?
84. Yeah, 84.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And funny, like we got them from Toll Toys. So they were originally Coleco, but I think there was an arrangement in England to do it with Rainbow Toys. This is what I gather from Luke's information. But over in Australia it was Toll Toys. So there's actually one on eBay, I think one with the wings and Dragonflyer, and he's in box, and it's a Toll Toys box. So I was just absolutely, that's something I didn't know, and that Australia was part of that, like producing these and distributing them back in the 80s. So
yeah, it would be really cool to get like a sealed Toll Toys example, just as like a piece of Australian toy history for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, that's my number. What's that, number 3? So,
number 3. That's awesome. I just want to say g'day to Counts Curious Curios. I don't know if we said g'day to him before, but
no, we didn't.
Happy New Year, mate. He's asked about Insect Lords. Have you ever seen them? I'm assuming they're like the knockoff Motu body style, Insect Lords knockoffs.
I've heard of them. I don't collect them though, because I've never seen them in Australia, and I guess I'm only just getting into the Sectors. So, but yeah, definitely know about the Insect Lords as well. Yeah,
they're cool. Nate's just saying that Hive playset is gigantic, and it really is. That's a holy grail piece. It's especially in Australia. I don't think I've ever seen one, whether it's at a con here or on eBay.
Yeah. Lobos, remember?
Oh, Lobos. Okay, that's Lobos
right. They had it back when I was there mid last year, and I think they won about 3,000, maybe more. It was about $3,000 in box. Yeah,
definitely. Nick's just saying he's just started collecting this past April, and it's my calling in life. Love the collecting community who all feel the same about it. Appreciate that, Nick. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Look, I consider myself relatively new to collecting, like vintage toys, starting in like 2018. Compared to Matt and Andrew and other friends that I have that have been doing it for decades. So it's cool that even still post COVID, in the more recent years than that, people are still finding the hobby and falling in love with it. I love to hear that. You know what I mean? That's awesome. And we've got VTR Dave here. G'day, Dave. He's saying every time I join an Aussie stream, there's a spider on screen.
Yeah, we know his fear of spiders. Don't blame you.
Exactly. All righty, let me go my number 3. In fact, my number 3 is an entire collection that I picked up this year in one transaction. So I just thought there's no point getting them all out. So I just took a photo and I figured I'd share that. So earlier this year, I picked up a complete collection of a toy line that was actually banned in Australia. And I'm talking about the 1996 skateboard smack-ups. So this was a toy line that I've been eyeing off for years. I picked up one of them in late 2022 at Aaron's Collectibles on a Melbourne trip that I did with Matt and Andrew. It was the first one I'd seen in Australia. And to this point, it's really like between then and picking these up, it was the only one that I'd seen on offer here in Australia. So when I saw a complete set of them, I just had to grab them. I mean, they're right up my alley as far as the aesthetic, the colors, the late 80s gross out aesthetic. I just love it. I love finding stuff like this that, you don't see very often. And just like with the Max Effects Freddy, I like finding things that have a story behind them. And these caused all sorts of uproar in 1986 when they were released. They were eventually banned for import in Australia. So that makes it all the more special that I was able to grab these. And even to top it off, our buddy Lee in Melbourne helped me out with getting my hands on the carded version that you can see at the back, the carded Roadkill Ronnie from 1986, and it's actually got an imported by Kids Biz sticker on it, which again, just like Toll Toys, like another Australian toy company that is no longer with us. So it was cool to find a carded version with a Kids Biz sticker on it, just confirming that it was actually one that passed import before they were banned. So this had to make the top 5. I made a video all about it. I'm not going to go into more detail than what I've just covered, but yeah, I had to include these in my top 5 for sure. And again, I try to make sure when we talk top 5, it's like a single piece or a pair of figures, or like a figure and steed, like we saw with your Sectors pick. Yeah. But this was all picked up in one transaction. This complete lot. So I'll give them a pass on that basis.
Wow. Is that a bit to you? Is that a bit sad? No, it's not sad, but you've just in one hit completed the line. That means that's it. You're done.
Well, I mean,
you're done.
Yeah, yes and no. I remember discussing this with VTR Dave on a previous Collectively Speaking stream when he was talking about picking up a complete lot of one collection. And look, yes and no. It was 2 years between seeing any of these. So on that basis, when I saw a complete set, I had to grab them because I don't know when's the next, to be able to pick these off one at a time. And there's 12 in the set. There's quite a few of them. I just figured it was my one and only chance to really get them all and to get them all locally. And it was well priced. And the cool thing about collecting something kind of obscure is these things sat on eBay for a month. And I made the guy an offer and he didn't accept it. And I messaged him. I'm like, mate, let me know if you want, because he initially had them priced quite high, and eventually we made a deal. And if this was a more high profile toy line, that wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have lasted on eBay for over a month. You know what I mean? For me to get them at a nice price that I was comfortable with. So,
they're excellent.
Yeah,
it's a fun little line. I love it.
Yeah, and truth be told, the line isn't 100% complete because there's a larger, very rare remote control or electric one called Manny Manhole that is a larger piece. So I suppose in that sense, I don't have the line fully complete just yet, and I could always pick up another carded example. But look, I'm mainly collecting them loose, and I was excited to get my hands on them to make a video about the history of the toy line because it's got an interesting story behind it. So yeah, pretty stoked to add those to the collection in 2024.
No, you've been looking for these for ages, so no, good call. Because you could have been retirement age if you collected one at a time. You'd be in your 60s and you'd be like, I finally got these.
And I'm patient, and if that's what it took, that's what it took. You know what I mean? But it didn't. I was lucky enough to see a complete set in Australia that I feel like I was the only person in Australia that had any interest in. So I was able to jump on them.
No, that's excellent. All right, number 2.
Number 2.
Do you want to catch up with anything in the chat, or we're all good with the chat?
No, I think we're all good.
Yep, cool.
So, Ollie, I made this was just saying they do have a Hive playset at Leicester Vintage. I mean, what don't they have at Leicester Vintage? That place is a mecca from what I've seen. I've never been fortunate enough to go there, but just from videos that I've seen from Toy Shop on Tour, I mean, those guys have a ton of cool stuff. Box is a bit battered, but I mean, what can you expect when it comes to the Hive playset? If I remember correctly from videos I've seen, the Hive playset itself, from what I understand, is somewhat fragile, in its construction. So I think finding it finding it is one thing. Finding it in decent conditions another one. Nate just talking about our fuzzy 8-legged pets. That's exactly right.
They always love to come inside our houses.
Yeah, look, a lot of chat going on in the chat, but no, I think we've covered everything. VTR Dave just saying, yeah, sometimes if you have the opportunity to pick up a complete or near complete line and it's right to jump on it. I agree. Like collecting is, I'm very big on collecting as a process. Like to me, it's called toy collecting. It's called toy hunting. It's not called toy buying or toy owning. Like the process is really what it's all about. So, I would resist the urge to pay thousands for a complete collection of, TMNT or something like that, because I don't feel like I need to. I feel like if I'm patient, I'll find everything in my, as time goes on in my collecting. But for something rare, if you have the chance, it's a good price. I agree with Dave here that it's right just to scoop it up.
100%. Yeah, I would do the same.
What do we got here?
We're all g'day.
My collection's getting quite big now. I've filled 2 glass cabinets, but my Lego collection's stealing space. Interesting.
Oh, Lego always steals space.
It does indeed.
I've seen Jules in there. G'day, Jules.
Oh, did we see Jules? Oh, sorry, Jules.
Couple up. Yeah, Jules is there. Hello. You're not late. That's all good.
G'day, Jules.
It's a Sunday
Happy
morning.
New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, yeah.
Gen X Kid to the max. Smack Ups have the best character names. Agree. Ronnie Roadkill, Wally Wallbanger, Paddy Plate Glass, Timmy Tire Track. I mean, it's very much Garbage Pail Kids in minifigure form with skateboards attached. Like they basically just picked up where Garbage Pail Kids left off at that point. But it's definitely a fun toy line. Yeah, it counts. Curious Curios, absolutely more fun to hunt them down. Yeah, agree. Definitely. Toy Brigade, g'day. We've actually, maybe we started 30 minutes too early because we've had a bunch of new people pop in, which is awesome. Toy Brigade, g'day, how you going?
Everyone's just waking up or they're just sort of finding us now. That's good.
I don't blame them. If they're in Australia and it's Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m., I do not blame them one bit. Enzo's here. Happy New Year, Enzo.
Hey, Enzo, Happy New Year, yeah.
Good to see you, mate. All righty.
All right.
Over to you, Matt.
Number 2. All right, so number 2, that was this I picked up at Newcastle Collecticon mid-year, which was about July, I think that was, and this was Bionatops. Now, at the time, Bionatops was incomplete, and I kind of found this wandering around. So this is obviously Master of the Universe from the late 80s, one of the final parts of the line to be released internationally. And as you can see, he's a cross between a dinosaur and he's been robotized a little bit. And they're part of the end of the line there with Master Universe before they kind of just released the last wave was more just in Europe, in Italy. So anyway, I found him. I wandered around Collecticon, not buying anything, umming and ahhing, just comparing everything. Do I want this guy? I could probably talk him down $50. And I think you filmed it on your Collecticon video, me doing the deal with him and getting this. And this is beautiful to have in the collection. Of course, I needed to go then and hunt the rest of him down. And so probably a couple of months later, I found a guy selling original parts, the gun parts. So they just sit on his horns like that. They just sort of click in there like that. But I'm not going to do that at the moment. But yeah, the horns actually come out. So a lot of the time the horns are gone. So he's now complete and sitting next to Tyrannosaurus Rex. And now I just need a turbodactyl. Yeah. But I'm not going to look. There's a clue. I'm not going to go focus on turbodactyl for this year. If that happens, it happens. But they're very, very hard to find in Australia. Turbodactyl's a bit. He's got a jaw that opens and it's always broken, so it's very hard to find him complete. But I was just happy to get one of these dinosaurs back into just into my collection. And anyway, I was stoked. It brings big smiles to my faces to get one of these. And that was just not even on the radar last year. I probably mentioned, I think the year before, that I wanted one of these dinosaurs. So our first one. But the second one, no, I didn't even mention this, and boom, sometimes we just get this unexpected happy pill, and there it is.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. A lot of love for the Bionatops in the chat.
Oh, good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Nate said, glad you found the guns. Happy to have been there to peer pressure you into the purchase. Nate was there in Newcastle.
Well, something else to come up later on that I bought that day. and just absolutely, you got a budget, like, you know,
Yeah.
and it just blew the budget. And I just went, oh, like that was the budget basically. And then I seen something else, which I'll show later, and that just blew the budget.
Yeah. Dino saying it looks kind of brittle. Like, is it a little bit fragile, or is it?
No, like it's a solid, like feels solid, like good ladies.
Don't test the integrity of it too much.
No. So I think sometimes the jaw breaks like that. Yeah. There's a clip in there, like deep inside there, and there's this. I can't really get it. There's a spring, and sometimes that up there breaks. So you got to be careful. But the guns are just a solid plastic, so they're not brittle in any way, shape, or form. So they're really good. But I think the turbodactyl is probably the real fragile one, which is like a pterodactyl, but a turbodactyl. But that's the real fragile, where the jaw really breaks a lot. Like I'd say 50% of the items I see on eBay, even broken, and they're still trying to sell them for a high price.
Yeah.
So buying tops is a good deal.
Crackles is here. G'day, Crackles.
Hey, Crackles, hey.
Appreciate you tuning in, mate. And we're all mad here. My number one in my collection is 80 Star Wars figures and chips. I think that's probably number one for a lot of vintage collectors out there.
Yeah.
And look, guys, that's a good reminder. Like, that's a good prompt, I should say. Let us know what as we get down to the pointy end of our top fives for 2024, let us know in the chat, like, what your favorite 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 finds were of this year. We'd love to, see what you guys have been picking up.
Correct. Absolutely.
Counts Curious. Yeah, it's funny what happens at the end of a line like Motu. Yeah, Dinos, it gets creative. Exactly. I mean, a lot of lines seem to, take different directions. Like Motu had the Meteorbs and the Dinos, and then the Giants, and it was.
Well, I was just going to mention those Meteorbs, because they're like, Transformers were big, obviously around that mid '80s, and so that was their like, oh, let's do some Transformer, Motus. The Meteorbs got that.
Definitely. Gris Manson, I'll catch up properly on a rewatch. Absolutely love your channels. Oh, mate, that you are very kind. Thank you very much.
Very kind. He's always commenting on videos. Thanks, Gris. We appreciate your support, my friend.
Good on you, Gris. Toy Brigade subbed up to Matt, which is awesome. Appreciate that.
Oh,
We've got Adam in the chat. Adam, don't stress, mate. We've not reached the top of our top 5 yet. Plenty still to go. So appreciate you tuning in.
Just in time, Adam. Basically.
Just in time for honourable mentions and number 1. Ollie said, people say Dino Riders are brittle. My parent had my T-Rex in the garden for over 10 years, still holds up. Wow, there you go. Maybe, I suppose, with Dino Riders, it's probably more so the accessories and stuff that are brittle. But unfortunately, Matt, you've witnessed firsthand how brittle some of them are.
Yeah, it didn't travel well. I bought one in Melbourne, flew back home with it, and it was pretty well wrapped up. And the head just snapped off. It was the Quetzalcoatlus, and the head just snapped. And I've glued it, and it's still just, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Sad.
We're all mad here. Recently collected a couple of 80s robots. Very cool.
Fascinating, yeah. Well,
T-Rex,
go and check out. I was going to say, go and check out Retro Tinker. I know Retro Tinker, he loves these 80s robots. And, well, even Scree. Scree is a little bit into the robots, isn't he? So, yeah, fascinating.
Definitely.
Sorry.
Definitely. Yeah, I suppose like a Dino Rider is really that weird in the world of Motu. It is pretty weird to begin with. I suppose nothing's off limits in the world of Eternia, is it?
No, that's right. Yeah, they could just, over in this part of Eternia, we have the dinosaurs.
Exactly. 80s My Pet Monster, very awesome.
Yeah.
That's something I would love to get my hands on at some point. Yeah, we'll do my number 2, and then we'll just catch up on a few more in the chat. So I will quickly cover my number 2. And I'm glad Enzo popped in, because my number 2 is actually an incredible gift from him that was very overwhelming. And I'm talking about the 1990 TMNT Needle Nose complete. So I've been talking on my channel about like the TMNT Mega Mutants from 1990 for years. I think in my 2023 wish list, I had Killer Bee and Needle Nose as number 1. Not last year, I suppose 2023, I was able to pick up Killer Bee. I think Killer Bee was actually my number 1 when we did this last year. And I was stoked to get his counterpart this past year in Needle Nose, the good guy of the Mega Mutants. Just an incredibly generous gift from Enzo. If not for another gift that I just got for Christmas, this would have been my number one, I think. So yeah, just absolutely blown away to now have both of the vintage Mega Mutants in my collection. I mean, the colors, the accessories, just the wackiness of the character, being an enormous mutant mosquito is just so cool. And, we spoke about this last year or the year before, Matt, like, when it comes to Motu, like the steeds are very iconic, like Battle Cat and Panther. TMNT doesn't really have those at the forefront like Motu does, but these are essentially, this is essentially TMNT's Battle Cat, like a heroic mutant mosquito for the turtles to ride and fly around New York City. So absolutely love this.
Did they produce these in large quantities, like these killer bees and needle noses? Do you know, or you're not really sure?
I'm really not too sure.
Okay.
I mean, they're not the rarest pieces, but to find them complete and in nice condition with the decals still intact, that's really the trickier thing. But yeah, so I really don't know. I don't know if maybe they fewer. I would imagine a lot fewer of these came to Australia than the regular figures.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love them, man. The colors, like the wings are almost like a cloudy, transparent color. Just a really fun figure.
Yeah, Disney accessories, wouldn't it? That would get lost and the hardest parts to find for those
yeah,
ones.
all the little sort of like missiles that clip onto the legs, the gun itself, the windshield and the gun up here. These are all individual pieces. The seatbelt, these sort of exhaust pipes here, like they're all individual pieces that come off and they're all intact. So massive shout out to Enzo. It's very, very much appreciated.
Yeah, well done, Enzo. Lovely.
Super generous.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2. Let's just say g'day to a couple of people in the chat. Where did we get to? Gen X Kid to the Max. My most interesting pickup in 2024 was a carded Aussie Action Force figure from the 80s. Know nothing about the line, and it seems no one else does either. I mean, I know we've got some Action Force collectors in the chat with VTR Dave, but Aussie Action Force is something that I'm not familiar with, or Action Aussie Force.
That's not Leonard, is it? Gen X Kid. That's not the Leonard ones, is it? This is actual Action Force.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either.
Nate's talking about Ollie's Dino Riders T-Rex out in the garden. The harsh Australian sun would have definitely turned that thing to dust.
That's why they found no T-Rex skeletons in Australia.
Exactly.
Too hot for them.
Yeah, we've got some love for the Mega Mutants, which is awesome. I love them. I love them. I know Dino's got a needle nose as well. So, and I think Dino's got both of them actually. The Killer Bee as well.
Yep.
We've got Ronnie Trick Show in the chat. G'day, buddy.
G'day. Oh, Ronnie. G'day, Ronnie. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you joining us, mate.
Did we say hello to Milton75? I hadn't seen him.
I don't think we did. G'day, Milton. Happy New Year, mate. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
All righty. I think we're up to date. If I've missed anyone, I'm very sorry. Just repeat your question or your comment. If I've missed you, I do apologise. We've got a bunch more people that have joined us since our last couple of picks that we went through. So appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us this Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
We're international today.
We are indeed. Okay. Before we get to your honourable mentions, Gen X Kid to the Max. It's an actual Action Force. Oh, sorry, it's not actually Action Force. Looks like a local G.I. Joe knockoff made by Krona and Remco. That's very interesting. So probably a Remco figure that was imported by Krona. That's cool.
So they're not a 3 3. So I'm just answering the chat, but like it's not 3 3/4. Are they a 4 5 inch?
Well, if it's Remco, when I think Remco, I think 5.5. I'm not too sure. Be interested to see.
Let us know. That'd be cool. We're going to look this up, but it's all right. We're not going to. I won't collect it.
No.
Take aside for 2025. But it's really interesting to learn.
3.75. There we go. That is interesting.
Okay, that's excellent.
And you're right, Matt. It's always interesting to learn new stuff, especially like we spoke about toll toys and kids biz And Gen X Kid to the Max mentioned Krona. Like I always find it interesting, learning about what these different Australian toy companies, unfortunately none of which are longer with us, release. So yeah, it's really cool. We're all mad. He's asking about Boglins. I've only got mini Boglins in my collection. I don't have any of the full size vintage Boglins. What about you, Matt?
They actually freak the shit out of me, those things. I cannot have that. Like, I remember as a kid seeing them, and it freaked me out as a kid. And I think even now I go, I would love to have one in a collection, but they're just very cool, mate. Very cool.
I love the gross and the weird stuff, so I would definitely get some Boglins. Condition is my deterrent. Finding them loose vintage, that they generally are, a bit of a victim of time. But watching Home Alone over Christmas, I actually spotted a vintage Boglin in Home Alone when when Kevin climbs up Buzz's shelves to get to his life savings, and the shelves all tumble down, crash down, and the tarantula tank smashes. You see a Boglin, a vintage Boglin. Well, of course it's vintage because the film came out in 1990. You see a Boglin on the ground, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Look, if you get a Boglin, I'll visit you and I'll admire it.
So you and Boglins is probably like VTR Dave and Sectors or Spiders.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Big baby I am.
Alrighty, let's go honourable mentions.
All right, I'll whiz through. I've got 4. Is that okay?
Mate, I've got 4 as well.
Oh, good. Well, the first one is he was on the Wishlist for last year, and that is Mail Fraud. He has always eluded me, and I've always wanted him. Then, of course, he was on Dave's channel, of course, for many years as the little postman fella, and I just went, I really need one of these. So I finally got him, and I picked him up at CollectorCon, the last one of the year, actually, in November. I think that was it the year before? Anyway, I picked this guy up. I think, or maybe it was Campbelltown. Whatever. I've lost track of time. But
no, it was the last Penrith.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It's just those features, the way they do that. Anyway, so that's one. The second one. Now, I really had no idea these existed until Pixel Dan's Motu book, but I picked up you can see there, a Peach Cheeks half boot. I showed you this when you came up not so long ago, Skeletor. So this was one, and he has also purple pants. So a lot of the Skeletors, the later release Skeletors, had black pants. Is it pants? Loincloths? I don't know. But anyway, he is one of the very first Skeletors ever released back in, let's say, like 80. When did they release it? 82. So I was so happy to get that first release Skeletor. It was just like, what a find. I mean, he was on eBay and a really good price, and I made an offer and the guy accepted, and I really just, his face is a little bit rough, but it's not really focusing there. But
the peach cheeks are kind of interesting. I don't think I had a look at that one when I was in your collection room a couple of weeks ago, but I don't recall seeing one. It just changes the look of the figure quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why they would have painted peach cheeks on it, but anyway, I didn't think I'd ever own, like, say, a first release Skeletor. And there's certain things about there's a first release He-Man, something about his belly button, and it's not as obvious, I guess. With Skeletor, there's quite a few things that they did with him that you can easily pick up and and go, oh, well, this is the first release. And He-Man, it's a lot harder. So anyway, that's the second one. The third one was,
before you get to that, there's some great comments in the chat about the Skeletor. I mean, a lot of people admiring the half boot. Nate saying, I picked up the half boot Skeletor, but the super rare headless armless variant. That sounds right up Nate's alley.
I love your sense of humor, Nate. Excellent. It's what we all require in our community.
Definitely.
No, it does. And so, I think this was my number. This is another one I've got. Yeah, it is. Okay. Is this one I got from CollectorCon? This is the one that blew the budget. So once I found Bionatops, our mate, here he is right here. Uncle T, he had this in box. It had been opened, so it wasn't sealed or anything like that. So it was opened, but it just had been dismantled. So Inhumanoids, Hasbro, 1986. And
I'm surprised that didn't make the top 5, mate.
Well, this is it. Like, I don't know why.
You obviously got a lot of great stuff last year, mate.
Well, this is it. Like, this is why it is an honourable mention. I couldn't get it into the top 5.
No, mate, I'm with you. I've got some stuff in my honourable mentions that deserve to be the top 5 in the top 5, but I can only put 5 in the top 5. Funny that,
It's right. You had a top 10, it's in. But so that the Terror Scout from Inhumanoids toy line, that's an honourable mention. And the last lot, I forgot that I had these. So these have kind of made it at the last moment, and I've got to be a bit careful. These are customs. This is probably the only non-vintage item in my pickups for 2024. And these were eBay. These are Lobo's specials. Man, this glare is killing me, but there. So you go Diana. Try and get that closer. Oh dear. So there's Diana. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get the glare.
That's all right,
so that's custom, and then so they came in acrylic cases because I can't remember how many. They're actually sculpted and produced by a toy company, GGNW. So they're just like and they'll especially there's a visitor without his mask. He's got a mask.
That is so cool.
So Mia made in Oz. So as you can see, so it's limited to 300. And so they're all limited. They're all numbered 91 because they all sold as sets. And this one is a V Trooper. So it's in there. And he's got a gun accessory. So this is a big series back in the 80s for those that don't remember it. Oh, so he's 91 as well, of 300. And this is the back because they were going to make figures. So that's the back. He didn't. If you go to Lobo's, I think they made the ship. You'll see a ship there that he made a one-off of. I can't remember about the Jeep though, but it'd be so cool to have a ship, wouldn't it? Like you just. But these are really cool. Like I remember seeing these come out at Lobo's, and they were a bit pricey, and I went, "Oh no, I'm not going to get those." And when I seen these on eBay, they were nowhere near that price, so I just thought, I'll be a bit cheeky and I'll offer something, and he accepted it. So that was good. You always got to be cheeky, a little bit cheeky, and you got it.
You got it. Can I open myself up to the potential ridicule of you in the chat? So I've not seen V before. When did it come out?
80. The first one, V, was 84.
And is it a TV series or a film?
It was a mini series. So I can't remember if it was filmed over, showed over 2 nights, I think. And then they did V, The Final Battle, which was similar. That was the following year. So it might have been 84, 85. And then they did a TV series, which I think lasted 13 episodes.
Okay.
And that was maybe, 85, 86. So it was big for those mid 80s.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's right.
I want to say g'day to Phil. I've had his comment on the screen for a minute because I've been trying to say g'day without interrupting you. That's all right, mate. G'day, Phil. Hope you're doing well, mate. It's quite early for Phil. I don't even think it's 8 a.m. yet in Japan. So I appreciate you,
2 hours.
you joining us. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
and I got to always shine a light on any love for Tony B. Tony is dead set. He's a dead set legend. You're right, Nate. He is the man.
We do throw the word legend around a lot, but Tony.
We do.
He's a very kind-hearted, thoughtful person who always seems to put others before himself. And we've seen it with the gifts that he's given, or just discounts on toys. He's just, a beautiful person.
Yeah. 100%. Well said, Matt. We're all Matt here is just admiring the collectibles behind both of us. I don't know that my collection can hold a candle to Matt's, but I appreciate you saying
that. Silly. Come on. Of course I can. Got a beautiful collection.
And we've got some love for V as well. Love for the toys, love for the series. V was Event TV in 1984.
Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. People will listen. But it was a bit freaky. Like they kind of have those lizards under the faces, and they kind of pull them off, and then there's the green underneath them in the eye. As a 13-year-old, I think I was 13, 12, 13.
Yeah, and Dino just agreeing with your comments about Tony B, I couldn't have said it better, mate. You nailed it. Alrighty, let me quickly do my honourable mentions, and then we'll go number one for Matt. So I've got a few. First up, honestly, I thought this guy might get in my top 5 when I picked him up, but I've got a lot of good stuff. Sharpan Joe. I mean, maybe I'm assessing this guy too high, but as far as knockoffs go, this is legendary. Legendary Sun Gold Freddy Krueger ripoff.
I love it.
With an amazing name, Sharpan Joe. Whoever came up with that, I want to track him down and give him a standing ovation because I love it. Just a fun figure. I mean, just not the best quality, but as far as like knockoffs go, I absolutely love this guy. He had to get a mention.
In his Where's Wally top.
in his Where's Wally top. This was something that I thought was going to be on my top 5 when I picked it up as well, just because I absolutely love it. It's the Mighty Max Doom Zone, Mighty Max Bites Cyber Skull. This was on my wish list for 2024. And not only is it a super cool piece, like maybe my favorite Mighty Max playset, certainly one of, if not my favorite Mighty Max Doom Zone, a third Series 1 1994 release, very tricky to track down complete, and a cool story behind this one. So a friend of the channel named James, who collects Mighty Max, who I regularly speak with, he put me in touch with a collector in the UK who was visiting Australia and actually brought this to Australia, and I got to meet up with him when he visited Sydney and just chat about our love for Mighty Max and other things. And we're able to do the deal, face to face here in Sydney, but all the way from the UK. So
that's an excellent story.
And I got to meet a new collector, which I always love, someone from overseas. So that was really cool. So between this piece, how high it's been on my hunt list, and the story behind getting it, I had to grab this. Now I've got 2 more that, again, they deserve to be in my top 5. But it is what it is. I wish I could put 10 things in my top 5, but unfortunately, the maths just doesn't work. Now, during 2024, I started a new collection. I've only picked up a few, but I'm really enjoying them. And I'm talking about the Trash Bag Bunch. So, I picked up a few of that. Well, in fact, these came from Lee at FOMO Toys, a YouTube channel that I cannot recommend highly enough. If you guys love obscure 80s gross out and other fun 90s toy lines, and you like cinematic quality YouTube videos, definitely check out FOMO Toys on YouTube. Not to mention Lee, the guy behind FOMO, is just a champion of a bloke. So he hooked me up with a couple of Trash Bag Bunch figures. Alfie's Collectibles here in Sydney hooked me up with a couple of Trash Bag Bunch figures. But Lee also gifted me for Christmas a mint on card version. You know what? Let me quickly get it out of this case just so there's not as much glare. So, as interesting as the Trash Bag Bunch figures are, like they're monsters, mutants, and robots, as interesting as they are, to me, the concept, the branding, the packaging, the way they were marketed, to me, that's even more interesting. I've wanted a carded version in my collection for ages. I've got no plans to get more carded versions because the way these were packaged as a blind box figure in a dissolvable garbage bag, as a kid, you would rip this out, pop it in a glass of water, and the garbage bag would dissolve and reveal your figure. There's no real need to, you can't really collect them carded because you don't know what the figures are. So, but just to have one in my collection, I spoke about Mel Burnkrant earlier, with Max FX Freddy. Mel didn't come up with the figures, but Trash Bag Bunch and the way these are packaged and branded is very much his concept. Yeah. So, that's another thing that makes me appreciate this. So, and not to mention it's a gift from Lee and a very generous one at that. So, I had to include this as an honorable mention. And my last one, another gift, another piece that definitely deserved to be in my top 5. VTR Dave sent me a gift box earlier this year, and the main things in that, and again, these are going to be in videos. I mean, a lot of these things that I'm sharing deserve their own videos, and will have their own videos where I go into more detail. But one of the things that VTR Dave hooked me up with, and I'm so grateful that it upsets me that these aren't in the top 5. But again, 2 vintage Mattel Food Fighters, 1988 Mattel release. I love this toy line. I spoke about skateboard smack ups, how I picked one up 2-3 years ago, and I didn't see any more here in Australia until I found that collection. Food Fighters go even further back for me. I picked a short stack up on Australian eBay in about 2019, and I literally haven't seen any others in Australia on eBay or in the wild that aren't that weren't broken. And then VTR Dave made a video. He picked up a big lot of them. He had a couple of spares. We were talking on a live stream. I offered to pay him. I basically just said, Dave, just name your price. I don't care. I want these. And being the absolute legend that he is, he's like, mate, if you cover postage, you've got them. And I'm massively grateful. So we've got Mean Wiener, we've got Taco Terror, both with weapons. Mean Wiener has the correct gun. Taco Terror should also have a blue gun, but he's got a red one. But I just love these. I mean, they kind of like a little bit like a dog toy. Like they're sort of, they're rubbery and squishy. But they've just got so much charm, and they're just a great example of the level of creativity in the 80s when it came to toy design. Like, imagine how many different lines these had to compete with in 1988, yet they still carved out their own niche in the toy aisles. They still developed a cult following among collectors to this day, myself included. So, yeah, massive shout out to VTR Dave. These had to get a mention, and it pains me that they're not in my top 5. But it is what it is.
Top 10, they definitely would have made it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we've got to do that next year. Those are my honourable mentions. So yeah, let's catch up on the chat and then let's go number 1, and then we've still got the wish list to do. So mate, we might run over time a bit, and I apologise to you for that, mate.
It's all good. It's all good.
I know. Ollie had to hit the hay. He's probably gone, but appreciate you tuning in, mate. If you are still listening to us, hang on. Oh, Usual Mike's here. G'day, Mike.
Yeah, Usual Mike. He's popped in. G'day, Mike.
Hang on, I think is Scree here as well.
Scree, I've seen. Yeah, he's quite further up there. I think he came in. Yeah, g'day, Scree.
G'day. Guys, I'm sorry if I've missed you. I do apologise.
It is hard. Like, it is hard.
It
like,
is
obviously
tricky.
Running the odd live stream.
It is tricky. Did Madballs collab with Trash Bag Bunch? I don't know, but if so, that's very much my vibe. I love that.
That would be.
We got
vibe.
Some love for the Food Fighters. Dave Grohl was the lead singer of Food Fighters. I've heard that. Toy Brigade.
If someone could, and this would be up Ollie, I know he's gone, but like if you could do like Food Fighters, but like make them out of plasticine and wire, and just start making them, stop motion sing, and with Dave Grohl's voice,
that would be awesome.
Super cool.
That would be awesome. Toy Brigade had both of those as a kid. I'm jealous of you. I would have absolutely loved those as a kid. Dino's got the love for Food Fighters, which is awesome.
They are very cool.
Awesome. Counts, Curious Curos. I hope Food Fighters are easier to come by where you are, because they're sure as heck not where I am. But that's okay. I've got VTR Dave to thank for that.
Did they ever make a cartoon or comics to accompany the Food Fighters toy line, or no? That was just the toy line.
I don't know. That's a great question. You know what? When I do a video about them and we talk about them a bit more, it's a great excuse for me to do some research and cover a bit of background about Food Fighters. Food Fighters is a line that I had no awareness of until being a collector. But with that said, I'd be very surprised if they came to Australia, because you literally do not see them. So I don't think I had a chance to come across them in childhood. So I don't know, but I'll do some research on that. Crackles Lee did a great job with his Mighty Max book. Very, very true. The Toys of Mighty Max is an excellent resource for the Mighty Max collectors. So yeah, well said there.
Alrighty. I did put the link in the chat about FOMO Toys as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so we could, if people are interested in checking out Lee's channel, very creative. Like, he just blows our YouTube channels away with his creativity and special effects and just his graphics. It's just incredible stuff. Too good for YouTube, I sometimes think.
I know, without a doubt. So if that sounds like a bit of you to anybody in the chat and you're not already following FOMO Toys, feel free to show Lee some love.
Yeah.
Alrighty, number 1 time.
Oh, number 1. Oh, dear, my friend. Well, this has been number 1. It's definitely my number 1 wish list pickup for, I think it was my number 1 pickup list. Anyway, the story behind this is that our friend in the chat, Adam, Adam Collects. This is out to you, my friend.
Here he is.
Look at this. It's the Hasbro WWF wrestling ring. And this has been something I've been wanting back into my collection for many years. And he approached me. Look, it would have been earlier, the first 6 months, saying that he had it and he was willing to sell it to me, a spare one. But I don't know why. I forgot all about it. And then I just said, oh, we'll see each other at Collecticon. And I forgot about our conversation. And then I decided to move on some biker mice, and he was interested in the play set. And I said, well, and I think it was him that suggested, let's do a trade, wrestling ring. And I thought to myself, does he have a wrestling ring? I forgot all about it. And I went, well, yeah. And then, so that's the trade. We made this trade, wrestling ring for a biker mice play set, the scoreboard. I can just put that on my head, can't I? And look at that. To have that back in the collection, and I've cleaned it up now. It had a little bit of dust and love on it. So I've cleaned all that up, and it's come off perfect. I know it just goes without saying that I will one day get the belt and the flag. So it's one of these round flag pieces that I've got to look for. I've looked it up in the Has book, and that is probably a more common one to find. So I'm happy that, Adam, there's just not enough words to say thank you. Just to have that back after I stupidly sold this way back in maybe 2000 or something. And now to have it back in the collection where I can, that's what I've been working on over my holidays, is just setting back up the display, cleaning this up, setting up the display of Hasbro's. And you can guarantee there's going to be a small video coming soon on and all the Hasbro pickups, because you did a trade. You gave me a figure. He's done a trade with some figures. I've bought figures. Hasbro update is coming. Number 1, 2024. Thank you very much.
I look forward to that. And look, if anyone happened to see my most recent video, I think it was, we got a bit of footage of that trade, so you'll be able to see. Look, shameless plug for my own video, but you'll get to see, kind of have a look at what Matt traded, and also you'll get to see a really cool custom big blue cage that came with that.
Well, yeah, that's it there. Yeah, so that came with a custom cage. So that goes, that sits around it. Obviously, it's a bit hard with these my hands, but it kind of just sort of plonks itself in there like that. And well, I can go down further. I just don't want to force it, but yeah, it goes down, fits lovely. And so I've got this ring with a custom cage, and the blue matches right in with the colors of the ring. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Adam saying happy to have made that trade. Good on you, mate.
Thanks, Adam. Beautiful. I'm glad your brain works, Adam. Even though you've got a massive family got to look after, your brain still works, and in those ways we can do good toy trades.
Oh, definitely. All righty, number 1 for me. If I can reach it, one sec. So I don't even know what to say about this one. 2024 was a bit of a quieter year for my channel. My work schedule changed. I made a career change. I haven't had as much time to make videos, but I don't know. Maybe I should make even less, because I've just been absolutely blessed with gifts during 2024. It doesn't, nothing's taken for granted. I mean, and maybe it's recency bias, because this was a Christmas gift, an amazing one at that, but I couldn't bring myself to not put this number 1. This is a gift from a man that you just spoke about, Tony B, for Christmas. And it's obviously, as you can see, a mint on card Toxic Crusaders figure from 1991, just in ridiculously good condition, unpunched card. It's one of my favorite figures from the line. Apologies for the glare in Psycho, one of the awesome villains. Just exemplary of how special Toxic Crusaders were from a design perspective. The sculpt, the day glow colors, the spatter of neon paint, all the interesting accessories, including the glow in the dark boot accessory that's still wrapped up in its in its little warning toxic baggie there. Just an incredible gift. When we were at Dino's 40th birthday and Tony B came around with gifts and I opened this up, I couldn't believe it. I was just speechless. And for that, I had to have this as my number one. It was very late in the year, obviously just before Christmas, but a very deserving number one pick for me. I'm not a mint on card collector yet. 3 items in my top 5 this year are sealed, and who knows? Like, it's interesting as our collections get bigger, and you start to sort of refocus. Maybe even though this was a gift and I didn't buy it for myself, maybe 2025 we'll see a bit more of a quality over quantity approach. I don't know. It makes you kind of think about the direction you collecting going in, but just absolutely blown away. So I don't know if you'll be watching this. Maybe at some point he will, but massive shout out to Tony B and to the Uncle T's Toys family for this thing. Just incredible. So yeah, big shout out and a lock for number one for me this year. So very happy to have that in the collection.
Beautiful. Yeah, that blew my mind seeing that in the condition, the unpunched card. It's almost good enough to send away to get graded, isn't it? That one.
Definitely.
That type of condition.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. So there's our top 5. Let's just catch up in the chat. I mean, both of us, big years for collecting this year, definitely. We're all mad here. A collection on my wish list is Toxic Crusaders. Love the neon. Yeah, look, Toxic Crusaders is to me has been a really fun line to collect. Like, I've got the loose collection now complete, barring 2 accessories. But there's only 9 figures in the line, so it's attainable. But the figures to complete them, a lot of them came with 6, 7, 8 accessories. That's where the tricky part is with that line. But yeah, I love the neon as well, for sure.
Mock Toxie.
Yeah, the ugly, fat, gross bastard. Yeah, maybe it says something about me that's one of my favorite figures. I think. Well, just maybe my taste.
Oh, you mean the gross? You love gross toys.
Yeah, I love gross stuff. I mean, Psycho's probably my favorite villain. Maybe Junkyard's my favorite hero. I just like the ones with lots of fun detail, and I just think it's awesome. So, yep, unpunched. Yep, Jules still hopes to get him. Yeah, but no, a lot of love for the carded Toxic Crusader. So I appreciate that. And again, Tony B is, you can't. Well, what can I say about him that hasn't already been said? He's an absolute legend.
Yep.
Thanks, Dino. Oh, hang on, Dino's got to head off later. Dino, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, mate. Appreciate you hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And Simple Simon's in the chat. G'day, Simon.
Welcome.
Hope you're well, mate. Happy New Year.
I'm going to duck off and get a water. Is that all right?
Of course it is. Of course, mate. You go for it.
You can have a small chat.
What we'll do is, I'm pretty well caught up in the chat. What I might do is I might do my recap of my top 5 last year just to see how we went before we rip into the wish list.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, you take your time and I'll hold the fort.
Just give me a minute. I'll be back.
No worries at all. So, guys, and look, appreciate everybody who's hanging out with us. This might be a long one. We've been going for over an hour and we're really just halfway through at this point. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. It's a blast. So what we'll do now is we'll obviously do our top 5 wish list for this coming year. Just to sort of reiterate some context, as I mentioned earlier at the start of the stream, the way Matt and I approach these wish lists is sort of the focus of our hunts this year. Like, it's not necessarily like a grail list, because where's the fun in looking back at this in a year's time and maybe, if we're lucky, picking off one? This is really like the focus of what we're chasing. What we're really looking for to fill gaps in our collection this year, and items that we realistically have a chance of finding during this coming year, so that when we get to the end of the year and we look back, we can sort of see how we went. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're going to be looking at next. But before we do that, what we'll do is we'll just recap our wish lists from the previous year. So I'll go first, and then we'll get Matt to do his. So we'll just look at like what the top 5 wish list for 2024 was, and how we went with that. So I'll get a start on mine. So the first item that I had on my wish list for 2024 was a staple for my Kenner Superpowers collection. Superpowers is a line that I've been collecting for a couple of years now, but it's sort of taken a backseat to other lines like TMNT and the Hasbro Wrestlers and, Mighty Max and the Kenner Real Ghostbusters. But this past year in 2024 is when I sort of stepped up my search for superpowers. And I got a bunch of superpowers figures throughout 2024, but the one that I wanted most was obviously, the staple in Superman. And I was stoked that I managed to get him. In fact, I actually managed to get 2 Supermans this year. At the start of the year, I think in March or April, Matt and I and Dean and a few other mates, we went to the Canberra Vintage and Collectible Centre, and I picked up one. And then towards the end of the year at Collecticon, I picked up an upgrade from Phil Taylor at Taylor Toys and Treasures. So I managed to get the first one in Superman. Let me just go check what the next one is. Next up, I wanted to pick off 2 of the Doom Zones. As you can see, I had Cyber Skull, which I looked at in my honorable mentions. I'm sorry, I'm just toggling back and forth here. And I managed to get Cyber Skull, obviously complete, as we looked at in my honorable mentions. The other one was Mighty Max Traps Ratus. Maybe that's a partial. I give myself a half a point for that one because I did pick up a Ratus, but unfortunately it's not complete. Most importantly, it's missing the spider that forms the whiskers of the rat, but also a lot of the other figures inside. This was a gift from Brad, Mighty Max Hoarder on Instagram. Brad's a friend of the channel, someone I regularly see at Collecticons, and he knew I was chasing this, so he gifted this for me. Definitely a placeholder in the collection, but when it comes to Mighty Max, the trickiest thing to find are all those internal accessories, more so than the actual shells. But in any case, still very grateful to have that one. So far, pretty much 2 for 2. So pretty happy with that. Let me go back and bring my next one up. Next, I was chasing 3 Hasbro wrestling figures to complete Series 3 in my collection. And I'm stoked to say I got them all. I got the Hogan. This was from a friend of the channel, Abdul. I bought this from him during a clear out of his collection in 2024. And then these 2 I picked up just before Christmas. We've got the Series 3 Big Boss Man complete with his nightstick. And we've got the Macho Man, which is basically the repaint of Macho King, just with Macho Man on the back of the trunks. I had the opportunity to pick up a couple of these throughout the year, and they weren't in great condition, and I'm glad I waited because I managed to get a nice clean one just before Christmas. So stoked with that. I'm blasting through here because this is just a recap of our wish lists last year. Number 2, here's where I start to fall off. So number 2, for the second year running, I wanted to pick up some Kenner Real Ghostbusters Slimed Heroes. These are the last wave of Ghostbusters before we get to the Ecto Glows, which are damn near impossible, especially in Australia. I managed to get myself a lone, incomplete Slimed Heroes Egon Spengler. And this was actually from John's Vintage Toys on Instagram. John's in Canada. He sent me a package of a couple of goodies during the early part of last year, which was awesome. And included in that is an incomplete Slimed Heroes Egon Spengler, but it's better than nothing. So I'm very grateful for this. I'll take that. And then last of all, on my wish list for last year was these guys. The 3 of my figures that I was chasing from the 1991 series of TMNT, the last original character in King Lionheart, and the last 2 of my favorite sub-series of TMNT with the movie stars Raph and Mikey. And I got these. I managed to get a complete Lionheart from Abdul as well, another friend of the channel, and I managed to get right at the end of 2024, just before Christmas. Dino and I went Harvey's on a lot of TMNT figures and accessories. Again, this will be in an upcoming video, and I managed to get the movie stars. They're not complete. Mikey's just a bare bones figure. Raph's got his size, but that's about it. Hey, it's a start. I'll look to pick off those accessories, maybe upgrade them as we go. But all in all, relative to like the focus list for 2024, I'm pretty stoked with how I went.
That's really good. Probably better than me.
But look, as we discussed, Matt, and I was just reiterating this while you were grabbing a water. Like this is not a Grail list. Oh, in fact, I'm lying to you. There was one more. Because I did do a bonus Grail pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We did the Grail. Did you get your
I
Grail?
did the Mighty Max. The Mighty Max. The Monster in My Pocket, Monster Mountain. This is obviously one of my holy grails in my collection. It's fragile. It's a very fragile display set, so I need it. I would need it in box, ideally sealed, and I just leave it sealed because to me that packaging art is just iconic from my childhood. So that's a holy grail for me. No surprises. Didn't see one of them here in Australia during 2024. But it's nice to have something. It's nice to to have a sort of grail pick at the start of the year that we're on the hunt for. So
yeah. I remember because I rewatched our video from last year, and when you were talking about it, and someone said they were quite quantiful. It might have been Vintage by VTR Dave, and he said they're quantiful over in Europe.
Yeah.
So, which is a bit of a shame that we don't have access to that.
No.
And someone said at the time they'd seen 3 sealed ones in the Leicester Vintage
Toys, yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how plentiful some things are in Europe or in the US, and you just don't see them here. I mean, sometimes it's frustrating. Look, sometimes I like it because you really earn what you have in your collection at times here in Australia. You know what I mean? Like the thrill of the hunt is, if anything, even more satisfying because you don't see things as often. If it's like if any vintage store here had all this stuff, my wallet would be hurting. My collection would be obviously, larger and more impressive. But we've got to earn it here, and I don't mind that in some ways. And who knows, Matt and I, we've floated the idea of doing an overseas trip at some point. So I'm sure eventually, we'll be able to do that
one day. I think one day. You're a lot more organized in your wish list, like your previous years. I've just noted it down. I've got a slide obviously for 2025 wish list, but I'll quickly, if you want me to go through my 2024.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll do our 2025s.
Yeah. So I didn't go too bad. So the things I did pick up was number 5 was the light cycle. So I didn't mind if it was the yellow or the orange. I got the yellow. So that was one ticked off my list. Another one. Was that sorry?
No, that's great. That because we looked at that in your top 5, but obviously that was on your wish list, which is awesome.
It was. Another one in my wish list was mail fraud. So I'd been looking him for a good 3 years at least, and just because I thought in Australia surely we will find a mail fraud, and of course eventually he popped up. So I've definitely got those 2. And of course, the third one on my wish list that I did pick up and I was successful with was the wrestling ring. Nice. So I got three of my 5 from the wish list, and one of them was actually the the Inhumanoid. So
yep.
So it's the creatures of the Inhumanoids. So they're not shown on here, but it's weird enough that I got this from Inhumanoids and it wasn't even on the radar. But some of those creatures, which you'll see later, but they were on that. I didn't pick any of those up. And the other thing was a Buzzsaw Hordak. In previous years, it's been either of the Hordaks, Buzzsaw or Hurricane. But I picked up Hurricane Hordak really early on in 2024, similar, the first week or two. Yeah. And so it became just Buzzsaw Hordak. So he's still on my wish list as a bit of a spoiler alert. But so I got 3 out of 5, and my Grail item was, and I've rethought my Grail items for this year. So when we get to that, I'll show you. But I had something on there that was probably, look, it's not unattainable, but it's a big item, and I just feel to myself at this moment probably can't afford $500-600 for a Grail item. So I've rethought that concept for this year.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing your top 5 wish list for this year. So including your Grail pick. So you went 3 of 5 in 2024.
Which isn't too bad. I'm happy with
that. Not bad at all. In fact, I think last year when we did this, I think I only picked up I think I might have only done a couple. So yeah, I mean, again, as we mentioned, like my wish list is very practical. Like these are gaps that I'm trying to fill in my collection. They're not overly ambitious. That's why I think it's fun that we include a grail pick. And I've taken that approach for 2025. I've basically looked at, okay, cool. What are my key toy lines that I'm collecting, and what are my priorities within those toy lines? So sometimes I've got one figure or a couple of figures. I do have something a bit different. I do have a new toy line that I want to collect in 2025 because I think it's always fun to talk about something new. You know, I tend to talk about the same toy lines, but again, like if I really wanted to make a top 5 wish list of what I most wanted in 2025, my wish list would be loaded with Mad Balls and Food Fighters and things like that. But I just know that's not gonna be realistic. Sure, you know, there's a fair chance at this point that I do a Melbourne trip. You know, in the early part of this year that I'm talking about with Dino. Simple Simon was talking about giant size toy fair. So there's a fair chance that I might be down there for that. And obviously go to Lobos as well. So yeah, cool. Like I might be able to get something a little bit more obscure, like Mad Balls and Food Fighters and those sorts of things. But if I'm going to Collecticon and I'm doing my regular spots, then I'd rather keep it a bit more practical. So that's the approach. Before we rip into our wish lists, just a couple of quick comments. Phil just echoed what I was talking about previously about the thrill of the hunt. I agree with you 100%. For me, it's not about owning everything. It's about tracking down everything and hunting everything. So I agree with you absolutely. And Crackles, we don't have basements to fill, and there's only so much you can fit in a collection room, especially mine. I've got quite a compact. I'm in an apartment, so I've got quite a compact collection room. But you work with what you got, and I'm sure no matter how much space you have, you use it and you run out of it. I mean, that's just a universal part of collecting. If you have, like Andrew does, a large 3-car garage, he finds a way to fill that, just as I find a way to fill my study. It's just the way it goes. Oh, Grail item for the year. I managed my Grail item for the year, a giant talking Hasbro Ultimate Warrior. So that's okay. So that's a Grail that you picked up in the previous year. That's awesome. I love those giant talking Hasbros.
Yeah.
Still talks. Very cool. Finally setting up my collection room is probably my number one on my toy wish list this year. A carded Lone Ranger from the 1981 movie would be nice, though. Yeah, very cool. Very, very cool.
I've got one of those. I don't know. Do you want me to show that too? Well, that is completely off topic for 2020 for our wish list. I'll show it to you. I'll just take myself a camera so you don't see mine.
Yeah, and while you do that, Mr. Rums popped in, Salacious. My top pickups this year were a chlamydia rash and traffic awareness course attendance certificate. Well done, sir. I like it.
Salacious. Oh dear.
So what are you grabbing, Matt? A 1981
Lone Ranger.
Yep.
Bear with me. It's coming now. Here we go. Sorry, I know it's wasting a minute or two, but
no, that's all right.
It's okay. They're beautiful cars. These are a beautiful toy line, but so when the opportunity arises, look, there you go, the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, that's
I love it. Like we had these as kids. I mean, this one, it's actually unpunched, which is just incredible. It's got a bit of a rip just down here. It's a bit of a rip, not a rip, like a bit of paint will cut off, but there's that, and there's Tonto as well. So I've got them loose as well. The card's a bit, as you can see, it's not as good condition. There's a bit of a mold or something over here, and the bubble's a bit cracked in the spots over here. But there you go. That's what you're looking at. I'm not bragging. I'm just like they are a beautiful toy line, and
definitely,
hunt one down. Look,
I think great artwork on the cards. They just display beautifully. Have you got the horses, Matt?
I've got. I haven't got Scout. I've got Silver and Smoke, but I haven't got Scout. And the other toy line you might be interested in, I don't know, would be from Gabriel around the same time was Zorro. They did Zorro, and they're all very similar. It's only like 4 figures in that line, and I think a horse or 2 in Zorro, but yeah, from Gabriel as well. So I hope you I hope that you do get that for 2025. Yeah, Gen X kid. That'd be awesome for you. Anyway,
I don't know have we said g'day to Jeff Holt? I'm not too sure.
No, I haven't seen it. Yeah, g'day. Hello, Jeff. Thanks for joining
Jeff.
us.
And we've got Gaz here. G'day, Gaz.
G'day, Gaz. Welcome.
Alrighty. So
do you want to start first for your
do you want to go back and forth again? Do we go back and forth like that again?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start, or do you want me to kick us off this time?
How about you start? And because I started with the best of.
Yep, let's do that. So, look, for my number 5 on my wish list it's bread and butter stuff. Nothing too wild here. These are the last. So, my collecting with TMNT, like I'm just trying to get the first 5 series of figures, 1988 to 1992. Beyond 1992, I had no real nostalgia for TMNT. It kind of went in a strange direction. The figures got a lot more gimmicky. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were running gimmicks pretty hard in 1990 and 1991. But as you can see here, with an ice hockey Leonardo, but it gets even weirder later on. So I'm sort of capping my collection at 92. I've got a lot of TMNT figures this year for my collection, which has been great. Now I'm at the point now where I only need 4 more figures to complete 1991, and most of what I have is complete. So I just thought, let's kick us off just with the last 4 figures that I need to complete the 4th wave of TMNT. 2 of the wacky action villains, which are actually really cool figures, like Head Spinning Bebop and Machine Gun and Rocksteady are pretty cool. I think less cool are Slapshot Leo and Slam Dunk and Don. But I've got all but 2 of those sewer sports figures, so I figure we try and go for those last couple this year. And if I can track down all 4 of them this year, happy days, because I'll have completed the first 4 waves of TMNT. If I can track down a couple, then I'll be happy. So I figure I just start with some bread and butter stuff for my collection.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you. It's there if you want to.
You've got yours ready to go. Yep.
So that's my number 5. I'll be tracking down. I'll be hunt for Buzzsaw Hordak. One of the final lines. They'd already released a regular Hordak and a Hurricane Hordak, and now I just require Buzzsaw Hordak. So of course his chest pops open and out flies his Buzzsaw, and he comes with obviously his cape and his crossbow accessory. But he's probably one of the trickiest ones to find out there for the Hordaks. So if I think I got my Hurricane from Carl from Retro Cartel Collectibles, so maybe I'll hit him up and get my feelers out so he can hunt him down for me as well. But he's very hard to find in the wild. It possibly, if I get Carl to help me, I'd say he's obtainable, which would be cool to get it from him. Else, it's probably a eBay purchase, which is a bit sad. But I'll ask Carl, I think, and he may.
Carl's good like that. He's very good at tracking stuff down. You and I have both sort of benefited from that previously, and a great bloke. But hey, I mean, eBay serves its purpose. We always love picking stuff up in the wild, but sometimes it's eBay to the rescue.
And that would complete, I think, all my figures as in, that's all the regular figures done. Like there's the 2 giants. And there's the other Italian, like the towers. But I think that's it for the figures once I get in.
Wow. So as far as like the regular figures go, this is the last one you need to complete the Motu line.
Yeah, then you're kind of into variations, which I've already started, as you've seen with the Skeletor, like that's a variation. And
there'll always be something else.
So there you go.
Nice.
That's 5.
Awesome. Alrighty. My number 4 is something that is completely different. Like I mentioned, I tend to talk about the same vintage action figure lines on my channel, whether it's, TMNT, Hasbro Wrestlers, Mighty Max, Toxic Crusaders, Real Ghostbusters, and the more obscure ones like Food Fighters and those sorts of things. But I'm thinking in 2025, I collect something a little bit different. There is one thing that was a common thread in my childhood from when I was really young, like 4 years old, to when I was 12, 13 years old, and I started to get out of action figures that I was still playing with, and that's Lego. And of all Lego, none is more nostalgic to me than Lego Pirates. And I would love this year to start to pick up some complete Lego pirate sets from the late 80s and early 90s. There's a few big sets that I had here in this image that I had as a kid. Like, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the Fortress. In fact, if I go over to Canva, maybe can you see my cursor there?
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. So this one here, Eldorado Fortress, I had as a kid. Okay. I got in the late 80s. I also got this one here, the Caribbean Clipper.
They're big sets.
Yeah, but then you've got this one, like, the big legendary late 80s pirate ship. So I think what I'd probably do is, to start the year, maybe I go for a couple of the smaller sets, like Shipwreck Island down here.
I had that one, and I had that little red boat there.
Just here?
That as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what's probably the best way to go this year is to pick up a couple of those smaller sets. And just see if they work for me. Like, does it belong in my collection room? Can I make space for it? Does when I get them in my hand, does it still resonate with me the same way as the other nostalgic action figures that I collect resonate with me? And if so, then maybe I'll go for some of the bigger ones. But yeah, I figure for number 4, we'll try and start a new toy line in 2025, something completely different. And for me, that's going to be Lego Pirates.
The next question is, where's it going to go?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Matt. I don't know.
Stay tuned.
But see, you know what it's like, Matt. Like, we got Zachary here. G'day, Zachary. Lego's a whole different addiction. Yeah, maybe it's dangerous territory to enter. Like, who knows? Like, maybe, but like we see, like, Dino at Geek Strong going down the rabbit hole of popcorn buckets. Maybe Lego will just become my thing. I don't know. I don't think so. I think I've got too much love for the other stuff that I collect to abandon it in favor of Lego. But it's, to me, like, I've just been thinking about, like, this my collection room very much reflects my childhood passions, with one major omission, and that's Lego. So I figure I try to correct that in 2025.
That's good. That's very ambitious. I like it. It'd be good this time next year to see what you've got and how far you've come.
We'll see. But you raised a good question about where it goes. Like, until I have enough to fill a shelf, it won't have its own shelf. It'll sit somewhere random. And then if I can have one Detolf shelf that has a few different pirate sets that sort of fills it out, I think that would be pretty cool. But we'll see how we go. I mean, it's not cheap as well. That's the other thing.
There's room in your bedroom, surely, Scott. You can.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the collection to the collection room and not have it escape. But we'll see how we go.
And Andrew, no She-Ra. I can't afford any She-Ra in my collection.
Oh, Matt still has to collect She-Ra. That's a good call out. I missed that. Yeah. No, but that's the natural
nostalgia. No nostalgia.
Next step. Still have your bedroom.
Yeah, Andrew, you're terrible.
Black Pearl coming out. It's very cool.
But I just said, Andrew, he's got room. He's got room in his bedroom.
Yeah, but if Andrew had his way, my apartment would be filled with toys, and I would live out of my car or something like that.
That's oh dear.
Phil gets Lego for his daughter, and that kind of satisfies his Lego fix. That's cool. That
is cool. Oh dear.
Alrighty, you're up, Matt. Number 4 for you.
All right, so I've got it ready for you on the screen. Ta-da! Doesn't that look cool? Crossed off a couple.
Flush.
This is a bit of a rehash from last year. So I did have Fierce. I actually had all 3 on for Wishlist. So there you go. I have picked up oh dear, I forgot his name.
Mail Fraud?
No, yes, I've picked up Mail Fraud, as you know, but I've also picked up Lewis Tully. That's his name. I picked him up very early last year as well, and not complete. So he's sitting down there on the shelf, but Fearsome Flush is on the radar for this year, and that would probably do it, I'd say, for the real Ghostbusters. Like, I don't want to get the whole line, just pieces that are cool, like in my eyes. So the haunted humans are cool. I got them now with Mail Fraud, and I wanted the monsters, which I've got. And I don't think Fearsome Flush belonged to any sub line. He's just like a ghost, but he's very cool with those eyes coming out of the cistern, and
definitely.
Some tongue underneath the bowl in the bowl there. That'd be interesting trying to go so that would be a very cool toy to add to the real Ghostbusters. And I'd feel that there's the only other thing for Ghostbusters I would kind of want is that street cleaner that looked like
the street sweeper,
yeah, but it's not on a wish list this year. I'm just going to focus on Fearsome Flush.
It's really interesting, Matt. Like, you've been collecting for a long time, and you mentioned Mail Fraud and now Fearsome Flush. Like, I don't know that these are the trickiest figures to find, but they've just eluded you. And I suppose, like, I definitely have those. Like, I have those figures that are relatively common, but they've just eluded me. Like, in Superpowers, oh, dude, what's his name? The fire dude.
Oh, Firestorm.
Firestorm, yeah, like, one of the easier figures to find, but just haven't managed to find one that's in decent condition. So, and I think that's also the case with Fearsome Flush as well. Like, I've seen him a bit beaten and battered from time to time. So
and they re-released him in 2021 with that. They redid the retro line, but I want the vintage.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Good pick. I like it.
Thank you.
Zachary's just asking, where did you find the glass displays behind you? And Adam's beaten me to it. Fantastic furniture. Zach, I don't know where in the world you are, what part of the world you're in, but yeah, in Australia, fantastic furniture, a bit of a go-to for glass, particularly the wider glass cabinets. The narrow ones are detox, but yeah. There we go.
Well, IKEA used to have those single ones, but they got rid of them now, don't they?
Oh, yeah, IKEA don't do detox anymore, which
no, it's very sad. Yeah,
it is. Alrighty, so number 3 for me is also a little bit of a rehash, similar to yours, Matt. So these are the last 2 Mighty Max Doom Zones that I need. Last year I had Traps Rattus, and I managed to get the incomplete version. But again, like, the hardest part with Mighty Max is the accessories, and that spider in particular is critical because, when the set's closed, it forms the whiskers of the rat. So I'll definitely be on the hunt for either accessories or just a complete, upgrade for my Rattus. And then the only other Mighty Max Doom Zone that I need of all 18 they released is Mighty Max Sinks Nautilus, which is extremely difficult to find. So with Sinks Nautilus, this might be a case of me reaching out to my new mate in the UK and asking him if he has any available over there. So
that looks like this is really showing my age, but the great big pink sea snail from Dr. Dolittle from the 60s version. I reckon that's a bit of a take off that.
You reckon? I mean, it is. It's a cool. I'm not familiar with that Dr. Dolittle with that version, but quite possibly. I mean, when it comes to the Mighty Max toy line, they took so much inspiration from sci-fi. Like, there's Mighty Max sets and Mighty Max minifigures that resemble alien xenomorphs. There's a lot of like Night of the Living Dead style classic horror sets. There's a King Kong inspired set. There's Ray Harryhausen style Cyclops set that you've got. So yeah, like, the creators of Mighty Max, absolute legends, whoever they are, that sculpted all these incredible sets and came up with these concepts. But they definitely took a lot of inspiration from different horror and sci-fi properties when they came up with them, and I absolutely love them. And Nautilus is a really cool set.
Yeah, very cool.
So that's my number 3. And look, with these, Matt, like, I very highly doubt that I would find both. If I found one, I would consider that a success.
Yeah. Would you wouldn't find these in Australia, would you?
I mean, I've seen a complete Rattus in Australia at Collecticon, but I didn't pick it up, and someone else beat me to it. These are quite expensive sets, so it might be a Lobos Collectibles find, or it might be an overseas pick. We'll see. Hopefully I get fortunate, but we'll see how we go.
All right, now you got something a bit weird coming up for me for my number 3.
All righty.
Bit out there, and people might be giggling. I know this is weird and this is modern. But God, I used to love Murder, She Wrote, as stupid as that is. Me and my family, we used to love watching Murder, She Wrote. The early years when she was in Cabot Cove and Tom Bosley was the sheriff through those early few seasons. We just loved it. And, there was never any action figures or anything. So NECA have announced that they're going to do a figure of Jessica Fletcher. There's this version, which is the version I'd like. So it'd be a 6-inch version, clothed figure. You get all those accessories, but a couple of and a little head, a surprised head, and a serious thinking head. A book, like her own book, so it's got her own picture on it on the back. Typewriter, torch, handbag, jacket, mate. This has got, and this was due to actually be released in October 2024, but they've pushed it back. They're now saying it's supposed to be due this month. So, look, I know people are rolling their eyes right now, going, "What?"
No, quite the opposite. Matt. There's a bit of love for Murder, She Wrote and this figure.
Really cool. And I feel some toy photography or some stop motion or whatever I could do with this figure, just even as a display, would just be brilliant. She was, and Angela Lansbury was just. I think, you've only ever heard good things about Angela Lansbury as an actress, as a person. I definitely love this. And this is definitely going to find its way into the collection for 2025. And more than likely, it will.
This is an interesting question from Gaz. Did you know that Murder, She Wrote, Simon and Simon and Magnum PI are all set in the same world? I
remember they did I don't remember the Simon, but definitely Magnum PI and Angela Lansbury, the Murder, She Wrote, they definitely did crossover episodes. So she went first to visit him in Hawaii and then, or vice versa, and then he went to visit her as well. So, they did a couple of crossover. Yeah, she's a classic.
And we've got a couple of comments about how popular this figure would be among the mums of the people in the chat.
There was a lot of mums that loved Murder, She Wrote. But sadly, some of the kids got dragged along for the ride as well. But I enjoyed it. I feel it probably went on way too long. I think it went on for 12 seasons or something, and then some movies. But I didn't last that long with it. I probably lasted for the first 5 seasons. But that was enough. I was hooked. You were caught.
Who's the manufacturer of this?
NECA.
NECA. Okay.
Yeah, NECA's going to be doing this one. Yeah. Yep.
Toy Brigade just found my mum's next birthday present.
Glad to be of assistance.
Oh, that's good.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. It's 100% coming into the collection. I love this.
All right, so next we go to my number 2, and I know there's some fans of the real Ghostbusters in the chat. Matt and I are obviously both very much into the real Ghostbusters. So my number 2 is, and look, I've given up on chasing slimed heroes. The Slimed Heroes Ghostbusters have been in the top 5 the last 2 years, and aside from the loose incomplete Egon Spengler that John gifted me, I've not found one. So we're going in a different direction. And that is the 2 Gooper Ghosts.
Okay.
I think these are just some of the most classic creature figures in the real Ghostbusters line by Kenner. Interestingly, if you had asked me to guess, I would have thought these might be slightly later, 3rd or 4th wave. These are 2nd wave figures. They came out in the 2nd wave when you had the action ghosts Bug-Eye and H2 Ghost. These came out in that same wave in 1987, quite early. So there's 2 here, Squisher and Sludge Bucket, both awesome, fun sculpts, designed to be played with the ectoplasm. In fact, I think both these figures were actually packaged with a tub of ectoplasm. That to me probably is more in the Grail territory, as silly as that might sound to people in the US or the UK. We just don't really see the ectoplasm around, whether it's sealed, whether it's an empty tub. I'd be happy with an empty tub at this point in time, just the packaging.
True.
But it would just, if I could get one or both of these, it would be great. And if it came with ectoplasm, it would just be a bonus. So I thought we'd chase something a little bit different for the Real Ghostbusters for a change. These things do pop up on eBay here in Australia from time to time. Often Sludge Bucket's missing his tongue, or Squish is missing his bottom row of teeth. So I'll be holding out for a nice complete one. But yeah, we'll see how we go. So there's my number 2.
It's funny you should put these in because, like, I know that we were looking through that book at my house, and you were like, "Oh, look at these go." So I'm wondering if that book influenced you and you went, "You know what? I can get these."
It planted the seed, definitely. Good. We were talking about that book earlier, so yeah. Good. Of course, Andrew's got a flashlight comment, not for the first time on a live stream. I'm starting to wonder.
She was beauty care in our last live stream, so anything goes with Andrew.
What about Nate? Your childhood was different than mine.
Andrew had a big brother, that's what.
Yeah.
Taught him evil things. What's going up there? We're back up to Jeff Holt as well.
Where's Jeff?
Jeff Holtman and Zachary underneath.
Oh, there we go. Yes, the wife had the complete set of Murder She Wrote DVDs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let me bring this down, and we'll just have a look at Zach's comment here. Do you guys have any vintage Power Rangers, Muscle Mutts, Biker Mice from Mars, Cowboys of Moon Mesa, or Pirates of Darkwater? I am personally a no to all of those. Muscle Mutts, I could only dream of finding one of those. Extremely rare, even outside of Australia, particularly in Australia. Cowboys, Wild West Cowboys and Moo Mesa, I really love. I would love to get a couple of them for my collection, but they're quite obscure and don't really turn up very often here in Australia. Pirates of Darkwater, I actually also appreciate as a toy line. I think they're really cool, but again, just don't really come across them very often. And Power Rangers and Biker Mice from Mars, you definitely do see those here in Australia, but they're just not really my thing. Weren't particularly, important to me in my childhood. So it's not something I've collected previously. Maybe one day.
Sorry,
what about you, Matt?
Like I had the Biker Mice from Mars. Just look, they're not very nostalgic. By the time they came around, I was in my 20s. Very cool toys. The play set is amazing. The bikes, and I did enjoy them, and I've still got a couple there, but. Yeah, that's out of all those. Power Rangers weren't really my thing, but all those other ones are very cool, like those Muscle Nuts, Moo Mesa, and the Darkwater figures. They're just, but we just don't see them in Australia, so it's so hard to collect. You'd be totally reliant on overseas like eBay or some contact in the US or UK, which is a shame.
It is a shame. We're all mad here. I'll never forget sliming my sister's hair as she slept. I mean, slime was a blast. I don't ever remember getting TMNT ooze or Real Ghostbusters ectoplasm. We always had off-brand slime from the discount store. Although I did have Nickelodeon Gak as a kid and always had a good time with that. But yeah, I mean, the fun you'd have with slime, much to your parents' or your sister's dismay.
Yeah, I bet you got in trouble. You got in trouble. You had to get in trouble, and then like behind closed doors, mum and dad are like, "Good one." Oh dear, it's funny.
And Jeff Holt's chiming in. I slimed a few bloke sisters in my youth. Well, I won't elaborate on that one.
They deserved it.
Nate loves a bit of Power Rangers and Biker Mice. Yeah, I mean, I remember my younger brother being really into Power Rangers. Biker Mice, I do remember as a kid. I think maybe just, something you have to be at the right age to engage with some things. Like maybe it's just I was a year too old, or, but yeah.
And I know I don't look it, but I am older than Scott. I am 10 years older than Scott, so we are of things. And people may be sitting there going, well, how the hell do these guys actually connect? But we do collect a lot of the same toy lines.
We do.
But also just a love of collecting toys.
And just all these pop culture properties, many of which have really stood the test of time. And,
But you can see from our collections, we're eclectic, but we're also quite different. And but there is things that match up with both of us.
Definitely.
it's fun.
Definitely. Alrighty, so let's go to your number 2,
Yeah,
Matt. You've
number
got it
2,
queued
yep.
up and ready to go.
This is very focused. Sectors. As I said, I'm loving sectors, and I would love to get this other beast into my collection. And this was not necessarily the boxed rendition, but that was just there for show. But this is Battle Beetle with Pinsaw. Now, I did pick up a Pinsaw in a lot. So I do have a very big, he's a very barrel-chested man, our Pinsaw. So, but he was just bare bones, so he doesn't have any of the weapons. So to pick this up, and you can get these for really good prices from the US. I've never seen one in Australia, so more than likely, I may pick, like, I think maybe I might be able to head down to maybe up to Brisbane or down to Melbourne. You'd probably find one, but I might struggle to find this in Australia. So this may have to head overseas for this as well. But to get this is very similar to the one I showed earlier, just where it's a glove. You put your hand into the glove, and that would control the pincers and the legs. So very cool. Another Christmas idea. You're so naughty, Andrew. I love you, man. That's beautiful. But yeah, so that's my number 2. It's very focused. It's very, but as I said, I'm just loving this toy line, and as I'm rearranging my toy room at the moment, they need a space for themselves because I'm in love with sectors.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Very, very cool toy line.
Yeah, that's my number 2.
Very cool, very cool. Phil loves a bit of sectors as well. Oh, Phil has this one. It's interesting.
Sector. That's the only. Oh, wow! There you go. Is it complete, Phil? Like, does Pinsaw have his weapons as well? So Pinsaw and Battle Beetle are the goodies, and they would go against Skulk and what was the Tarantula one. So these are the baddies. This one's the baddies, and they're the goodies.
Yeah,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah.
And does this one that you're chasing? Does this have wings as well, or no?
No. So this is there. It's good to go for the wingless versions first.
Yeah,
they're the easy ones. They're not overly expensive either. So
yeah, the wings are the fragile component to them, aren't they?
Yeah. The next 2 are winged ones, and I feel that could be really tricky to get them complete with wings.
Yeah. Wear them in winter as gloves. There we go. I like that.
One on each hand. Yeah. Walk around the shopping centres with these bugs on your hand. It'll be like people like, let's call someone. Who are you going to call?
All right, number 1 for me. Look, we've got to have some WWF Hasbro mention in in when it comes to whatever any year that I'm collecting has to have some Hasbro. So look, pretty bread and butter, but figures that aren't necessarily super easy to find, particularly that Series 5 Hulk Hogan. Series 5 Macho Man's not too uncommon, but it's hard to find him in good condition. Normally he's got a broken finger or 2, and because he's got so much color going on, often you see them, kids have obviously had a good time with them, and there's a lot of paint wear. And then you've got Rick Martel, which I really like. I think that's a great Martel figure.
You don't have Rick Martel?
I don't have Rick Martel. He should be the easiest to pick off out of these 3. And then I'll need Hogan, the final version of Hogan, the 4th version of Hogan, and probably the trickiest one to find. And obviously that Series 5 Macho. So I had a really good year for Hasbro's in 2024. I think I probably picked up about maybe 8 or 10 new Hasbro's in 2024, which was a massive increase on 2023 or 2. And I want to keep the momentum going. And if I can find these 3, then I'll have the first 5 waves of Hasbro's complete. So I'll be well on my way. So, yeah.
Well, both those, the Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, they're nearing the end of their stays. Well, I think Hulk came back in 93 for a brief stint, didn't he? So that would be to represent that. And Randy, I think he left the following year. I remember him being, I think, in WrestleMania 10, I think, against Crush, was it? And so that would have been one of the final Randy Savages as well. So
the final Hogan, the final Savage, and the one and only figure that Martel got. And Rick Martel in 1993 was pretty deep into the model Rick Martel gimmick at that point in time.
It was. I like Rick.
I think Rick Martel's a very underrated wrestler. I think he was very, very good. Like, in ring, very good performer. I think if Adam is still in the chat, he'll probably agree with that. And as the villain, you're right. Like as that arrogant heel character, I think he crushed it. So
and he'd walk out with his like spray perfume and spray, because
yeah. And then you'd get people in the eyes with his cologne, which I believe was called arrogance.
I enjoyed Rick Martel like as a character. Yeah, his career was cut short. He went to WCW, and I can't remember the match. He got picked up and thrown, and it just did his back in. I don't know if he landed on that trapdoor or something and did his back, and that was it for Rick.
So that's my number one. I do have a Grail pick, which we'll get to. But again, just to reiterate once again, I'm pretty practical with my wish list. It's just the things that I'm chasing to fill gaps in the collections of the toy lines that I love most, that are most important to me. We'll get to a Grail pick, something that's, a bit more ambitious. But very much just a focus list of what I'm collecting. Before we get to your number one, Toy Brigade's asked everybody where they're located, which is actually pretty cool just to see where everybody is. Like, Toy Brigade's in Tennessee. I knew Jeff was in the UK. I didn't know London, so that's cool to know. Obviously, Andrew's Sydney made. We're all mad here in Wales, which is interesting.
Wow.
I know. Obviously, we know that Phil is a Kiwi in Japan. Gen X Kid to the Max. I knew he was in Adelaide, so we've got some love from South Australia, which is awesome. So it's and Zach's in New York City, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That is cool.
It is cool. And Zach raises the question, as kids growing up in Australia, did you guys have different variations of classic action figures like TMNT or Motu than kids in the US? So, Matt, I'll get you to answer it on Motu. So for TMNT, no, we didn't have different versions. In the UK, TMNT was called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because they had hang-ups about the word ninja and the violent connotations of that. In Australia, though, we got the Ninja Turtle versions, but we just got less. We got less than you guys would have got in the US. So I'm pretty sure some of those later figures probably either didn't come here or came here in smaller numbers. But no, when it came to Motu and TMNT, we didn't have different versions. Look, Star Wars, we would have had different versions under Toll Toys, right?
Yes. Toll Toys did them for Star Wars in that vintage line. They were released, here. So I guess, but nothing different from Motu. Like a lot of our stuff came from factories in Taiwan and Hong Kong, and there was some built, some made in Australia. We had a Mattel factory, so there was some things that come out of Mattel in Australia, but nothing, no variations. What am I saying? Variations.
Variants.
Like that. So we just got the same figures that everyone else got.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it's been noted that Castle Grayskull was a very individual Castle Grayskull because they were hand painted, or spray painted. So there's sometimes there's no two Castle Grayskulls alike.
Cool. Definitely. Gaz is saying Sectors and Spiral Zone would be two lines he'd love to get into it this year. I don't know Spiral Zone. I'm not familiar with it.
Who made Spiral Zone, and when did that come out, Gaz?
Yeah.
Martel versus Jake. Yeah. Didn't he? Because wasn't Martel with Santana for a while too, and they had
Strike Force.
Yeah, Strike Force. That's the word. Yeah, they were the goodies. Yeah, for a while.
Yeah, they were the crowd favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. Bad.
Adam saying Martel injured the knee. Okay. Oh, back injury was a British Bulldog.
Oh, and back was British Bulldog on that trapdoor. Yeah, that's right. Snaps into Slim Jim. Looks like it. You need like a little Slim Jim accessory to chuck in that hand that's going like that.
Yeah. But now just going back to, it's cool to know where everybody is. Like Gaz is in Boston, Counts Curious in Indiana. Obviously, Zach's in New York City. It just makes me all the more grateful that you guys are hanging out with us in all different parts of the world and at all different times of day and night. It's really cool.
Well, that was what we noticed when we were streaming the other night as well. We had like Finland, Italy, and there was someone else from over in Europe as well, which they'd never popped in before. It was just crazy. It's great.
Yeah.
Teenage drunk turtles.
Mega Blocks, Castle Grayskull. Do you have that?
I don't have them. I just don't have the room because I've got too much vintage and origin stuff. But I have seen them, and they are really well made. They are very cool. I guess if I just focused on Motu stuff only, they would definitely be in the collection.
Yeah.
So there you go. Spiral Zone came out in '87. I had a cartoon and a wave of toys.
I'm gonna have to do some research on that one.
There's some thanks, Gaz. That's all. It's always so. I mean, as we said earlier, it's always cool to find out about new toy lines, right? It's amazing.
Definitely.
Who made them, Gaz? Sorry, now I'm asking. Like, is it Mattel or Hasbro or some Galoob or something? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's a sure. Be good to know. Counts Curious Curos, you are most welcome, mate. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
Exactly.
This is nothing without you guys.
Exactly. I mean, this is just me and Matt hanging out without you guys, which is still fun, but you guys make it all the more special.
Yeah. I'm going to apologize straight up. My number one is as boring as batshit.
That's okay.
I apologize now. Everyone knows I'm just into this show from the 70s, and this is coming out. I'm not even sure if this is a wish list because this is actually happening. Like, I'm actually going to get this. I've laid my money down for this.
So you know you're getting this.
So this is due out in June, July. I hope it doesn't get pushed back to God knows when, but a lot of modern toys where you put your money down, they always seem to get delayed these days. I hope this is a little bit different, but this is just a rehash of the 76 Eagle 1 playset. They're redoing it just with a more realistic Eagle. You're getting figures that are articulated, and you can still have the same play features. So you can pull the head off and the jets and join and make a little spacecraft. Still got the winch they can down. It looks like you get some guns in there like the original. It's exactly like the original, but this is just this blew our mind. I mean, and believe it or not, like this came from a link from Ryan. He sent us a link in Instagram, and we got straight onto it. This is best playset ever. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Nate. I appreciate that. But yeah, a lot of people would just be scratching their heads going, what is this show? But yeah, it's just a show it's actually celebrating 50 years this year. 1975 it first appeared on the screens, TV. And so this is, 50 years. So I think that's why they're doing this. The toy came out in 76. So potentially it's 49 years old, but the show is 50. So what a way to celebrate. And that's
definitely.
Drop the mic.
We've just got a question about the size of it.
How big? So the original was, Andrew, help me out. Was it 2.5 feet long? 2.5 to 3 feet long? So, this is the original right here next to me. So that's the original, and that's like my finger. So it was like about 3 feet long, the original. So yeah, you can see those very stiff toys in there, but it's very, very cool toy. So it might be, Andrew knows, 3.5 feet, I think it was. So it'll be the same. Actually, I think Andrew said with a bit of research it was a little bit longer. So it might be about 3. We'll just say about 3 feet. It's just bloody big toy. It was the 50-year wait. That's right. Yes, yeah. I didn't show the price. It's got a big price tag on it, but
it's got a price tag that deserves the number one pick.
Yes.
There we go. Now that's cool. I mean, obviously it's something that is incoming. You know you're going to have it, but it's still belongs on that list for sure.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank sure.
Thanks everyone.
Gaz is just saying that Spiral Zone was released under Tonka.
Wow.
Interesting.
5-6 inch. It had vehicles like a unicycle, motorbike, and cloth clothing. Wow. Yeah, okay. It's funny how Tonka did that. And they did those steel monsters. And did Tonka also do Willow? I think. Help me out, Gaz. I don't know if Tonka did Willow as well. But yeah, Tonka definitely did those steel monsters, which was another 80s toy line with, Grader. It was very Mad Maxy. Gaz would definitely know about that. But
sure.
Late 70s, early 80s was so good for Space Toy to, yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, Space 1999 was before Star Wars, but I think Star Wars, when that came, everyone jumped on that whole sci-fi, let's do some sci-fi toys, like Battlestar Galactica or Buck Rogers, or there's others in there too, which is Flash Gordon. So there was a whole bunch of sci-fi toys because of Star Wars, but yeah, they were very cool. Yes, it is. It'd be hard to get, really hard to get in Australia too, and expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
Hello,
Johnny. Hope you're well, mate. No, that's all right, mate. You get out there and get after it, but we appreciate you dropping in and saying g'day.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
We're all mad. He remembers the Tonka trucks. I mean, when I think of Tonka, I think Supernaturals.
Oh, Supernaturals. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Supernaturals.
So they did some good stuff before they were acquired, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-orders.
Yeah, these things. Yeah.
What's the delivery timing on the Eagle?
They say June, July this year. Okay. So Jeff, with these, Jeff, with these, Jeff. I got an email the other day from Anderson saying that these are back. So I don't know if you've put a pre-order in, and it's hard to believe you've lost your money. That's terrible.
Yeah, because they've.
I don't. Are these the 3 3/4 ones you're talking about, or are they the big dolls? But they're back. These 3 3/4 ones. They're redoing them, and they're asking again for money. So now I'm a bit dubious on whether I should put any money down if you've lost out, because these were due 18 months ago or something, 12, 18 months ago, these figures. The 3 3/4 ones. I don't know if that's the same, Jeff. Let me know. It's terrible.
I've pre-ordered something. In fact, now that you mentioned it, I did something I've never done before. Well, I did multiple things I've never done before. I bought something new, which is the first for my collection, and I backed a crowdfund. I didn't want to put it on my list though because, well, firstly, I've already paid for it, but I don't know when it's coming. I don't know whether it's going to come this year, whether it's going to come early next year. I don't know, so I wasn't going to pop it in my list. But that'll be something fun to talk about when it arrives. Yes, the Supernaturals skull. Yeah, I need that as well. Yeah. Alrighty, let's go Grail. So mine.
Did you do your one?
Sorry, I did my one. My one was the Hasbro's.
Oh, okay, another one. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I mean, just again, pretty basic stuff, but top of my list as far as what I'm going to be hunting for this year. But for my Grail pick, I went something completely different. Last year, I did the Monster in My Pocket Monster Mountain. I didn't want to just recycle that. I mean, I thought I'd talk about something different. Still monster related, and I'm talking about 1980 Remco Universal Mini Monsters. I've been talking about these for a while on my channel, like when I talked about the Burger King 3 3/4 inch Universal Monsters figures from 1997. I spoke about these. But yeah, I mean, to me, these are I love Universal Monsters. I would love some classic late 70s, early 80s Universal Monsters in my collection. Whether it's the larger Remcos or Megos or Imperials or whatever the case may be. There was AHY or AHI or whatever it is. There's a lot of different companies that did Universal Monsters, but if I had my choice, I'd love some of the 1980 Remco 3 3/4 inch Universal Monsters, loose carded. I'll take whatever I can get. I know that this wouldn't be considered a Grail out, in the UK or in the US, because these are probably at every toy fair. That's definitely not the case here in Australia. So, this is definitely something I would love to get my hands on this year. Not necessarily the Monster Play case. I just thought that this image was a good representation of the toy line. But if I was able to get one or two of these, I would absolutely love that. So I thought I'd throw this one in as my Grail pick for 2025.
Highly achievable, hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, if I go to Lobos, I think it's probably achievable. I remember last time we went to Lobos, I had a carded Dracula, but it was relatively expensive. It was a pristine figure. They didn't have any loose ones. Otherwise, I would have scooped them up. So we'll see how we go.
And apart from those jackets, no accessories?
No, apart from the cloaks and things like that. Yeah, I don't believe they came with any accessories. I'm fairly certain they didn't.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've got 2 Grails, so I'll just quickly go through them. One is
no rush.
One is a bit of a rehash from last year. So this is, but I still feel these are achievable. Like price wise, these all I think can come in under $100 as individuals. To get from the look, you never see these in Australia, so this is definitely probably an eBay purchase. Sadly, it's just the way it is. I think at this level of collecting now, a lot of the smaller things are done, and it's just more these harder to get pieces from the States eBay. So there's those, which is the creatures. I'm not going to look at the tendrils and the those
Decompose.
type of ones. Decompose. I'm just they're out of it. And so the second one is this. Believe it or not, I love the TSR or the LJ and Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I had these as kids, and these have been on my watch list for so long, and I'm hoping to pick these up. I feel these can be picked up in Australia, and I remember getting these for Christmas in the 80s, I guess around 84, 85, and they're just like, they don't move, they've got no articulation, but man, these 2 figures were highly prominent in their toy games. Like that troll, the troll's a bit bigger he's about 4 or 5 inches. So he competed well against the 3 3/4. He was a hefty opponent, and the goblin was his master. But I'd love to get these back into my collection. I've been collecting some of the old TSR stuff that we had as kids, and a few extra ones. So I don't think that, and the price on these it's not too bad either. So I feel that these are very highly achievable holy grails through 2025.
Yeah.
It's just complete change from the holy grail last year was the Land of the Lost Jeep, which probably would be about $400 or $500 to get to Australia. I don't think this year is the year to be spending $400 or $500 on toys. So these are just a more achievable holy grail, because they're very popular. So I'll watch these, and these will be gone in a week. If you don't act pretty fast, they're gone. Same as both of them, Inhumanoids and the Goblin and Troll. That's the holy grails.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And there we have it. So those are our favorite things that we picked up in 2024. Obviously, a big year collecting wise for both of us. And let's hope we can, have the same sort of success in 2025. Those are the items we're going to be chasing. We'll start to wind it up because we've been going well over 2 hours at this point in time. But just want to address a few comments here in the chat. Scott, check out the current line of Universal Monsters model kits from X Plus. I'll have to check those out. I'm much more of a vintage collector. I don't know what it is. Like, it could be an exact replica, but for some reason, just the fact that it's a vintage item just makes it connect with me more. Like, I love the 1960s Aurora Universal Monsters model kits, the original toys that's associated with the Universal Monsters franchise. So if the X Plus model kits are similar, then I'm sure they'll be right up my alley. So I'll definitely take a look at those. Zachary's just asking how many figures am I from completing the Hasbro WWF collection. Look, still quite a few. I picked up a bunch during 2024, and I think in the first part of this year I will do a Hasbro WWF pickups video just to focus on some of those, and maybe a bit of a collection update on how I'm looking as far as Hasbro's. I would guess that I've probably still got about 30 figures to go. So there's still a good few. So we'll keep chipping away. I'm not finishing the line anytime soon, especially with the prices that a lot of them go for, including the green card figures. But I've made some progress, so I'm pretty stoked with that.
I've got 44, so I'm nowhere near finished. So that's why there's no focus on there. I feel that I can just pick one up anywhere at the moment. So when you start get down to those final maybe 30, that's where I've got to focus on a few.
What's the most accessible? What am I most likely to come across? And when it comes to the Hasbros, for me, because there are so many of them, I've been prioritizing them chronologically. Like, trying to finish the first wave, then the second, then the third, fourth, and so on. And now I'm up to trying to get the fifth done. So, and they tend to be cheaper the earlier they come, but there's some outliers like Dusty Rhodes, a Series 2 figure that's really expensive and tricky to find. We're all mad. He's just saying Inhumanoids remind me of Rock Lords. The Granite and Granok definitely have that Rock Lord look, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's interesting. Jeff's comment about the X Plus models. They just did one for the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, attacking the lighthouse. I'd like to get that. Like that's something quite affordable as well to get. And but X Plus they do amazing stuff. Like I've got a lot of the Harryhausen monsters from X Plus. They're really good. So it's not only Universal monsters but the Harryhausen stuff.
Definitely. Count's Curious Curio saying the little guy reminds me of a babe. I'm wondering if that's one of the Inhumanoids. I'm not too sure.
Little guy.
And yeah, Phil's saying the great thing about the Hasbros is you don't have to worry about accessories. That's right. For most of them, if you have the figure, the thing's complete. So, but I do love I do love the Hasbros that do come with accessories. Like some of them are just Hacksaw Duggan with the 2x4, and Jake Roberts with the with Damien, and Coco Beware with Frankie. I mean, the accessories do really set those figures off where they have them, but in most cases they don't, which makes it easier as a collector for sure. Alrighty, well that's it for me.
Babe, the little guy, was that like the little goblin guy? Is that who he's talking? It's Curious, maybe. Is that the one? Reminds
Possibly.
me of a babe.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah. But that's all from me. Matt, was there anything else you wanted to touch on? Anything else you're going to be looking for this year, or we covered it?
No, we've definitely covered it. Obviously, there's always surprises that come from left field,
Always.
which we always enjoy.
We
really thank you guys for hanging with us for almost 2.5 hours now. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the longest, if not the longest, live streams that I've hosted. So, yeah, really appreciate everyone who's hung out with us the whole way, or even if you've just popped in and popped out according to your availability on a Saturday night or Sunday morning. We really appreciate you. Matt, you mentioned maybe a Hasbro pickups video. Is there anything else we should keep an eye out for on Keep On Collecting? Or
Andrew did a little short yesterday with the O-Ring Ghostbusters, the figures and the Ecto one. He did a little short on our channel with that on the USS Flag, and so that's something he was looking forward to doing. So he did that. But apart from the Hasbro's video, just those pickups, nothing really planned.
Fair enough. Well, look, anybody who's hanging around in the chat, I'm sure you're familiar with Keep On Collecting. I'm sure most of you guys are subbed up already, but if not, definitely go check out Keep On Collecting and give the boys a sub and a like. And there's so much. There's a big back catalog on Keep On Collecting of really fun videos. So make sure you give those guys some love. But really, just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. It's been awesome. So yeah. I mean, there's a lot more comments here. I will touch on one very quickly, Zach. Repro accessories for Hasbro's, look, not really my thing. But if they they serve a purpose, and if you love repros or other people do, then I'm all for them. The only place that I don't like repro accessories is people passing them off as original. As long as that's not the case, then it's happy days. But me personally, I'd rather just be patient and track down the originals. That's the fun part of it for me. But to each their own. There's a million different ways to collect. There's no right or wrong way, as we always say. So I think that's the name of the game.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly right.
Awesome. All righty. Well, yeah, really appreciate everybody hanging out with us and being so active in the chat and giving us questions to answer and things to talk about. But yeah, as we approach the 2.5 hour mark, we'll wrap it up there. But just once again, want to wish everybody a happy new year. Hope 2025 is great to you all, whether it's from a collecting standpoint or just in general. Hope everybody has a great 2025. And we look forward to catching up with you guys again.
Yep. Take care, everybody. And remember to keep on collecting. That's what we're all here for.
That's exactly right. All righty, guys. Have a good one. Thanks again. And we will see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Have fun.
Bye, guys. Ladies.